So solo.
And hello, welcome to Solo Playthroughs. We got a really interesting one today on several levels. I am excited about it. This is the Stormbird expansion to Horizon Zero Dawn. This was a review copy sent to me by Steamforged Games, who has been very generous with me in the last year. Again, they sent me Resident Evil 3. Still love that game. Definitely one of my top games. It is excellent, like stealthy, very like encapsulates that zombie feeling, or that zombie feeling. I don't know what that is. The feeling of being chased by zombies. Pretty excellent game. And probably better solo than co-op. I played a co-op once. My friends liked it, but I think it is a better solo game for what it is. And now I have been exploring Horizon Zero Dawn, and I am just starting to wrap my head around the rules for Dark Souls. Um, what I'm doing today is going to be a little bit different than anything I would normally do, in that I'm not going to play the game all the way through. I am simulating a large part of this playthrough to get to the part that I think is excellent. There is a very good game in Horizon Zero Dawn, in my opinion, but that game is limited to the boss battle. Beating these bosses, and again, these bosses do not come in the base game. The base game has this guy. That's it. The expansions give you this guy. I also featured Thunderjaw already, and these battles are where it's at. Now, this game was designed to be a semi-co-op game primarily. Seems like that's been a little bit of a miss in most of the reviews that I've seen. Semi-co-op's a very hard thing to pull off. I have yet to find a game that I think does semi-co-op well. And so I think it is like one of those, I don't know, golden grail things. The person that can crack the code for semi-co-op, God bless you. I don't think this game does it. I have not tried it yet. I am not interested in trying it yet. And frankly, it's because I find the battles to get to the boss battle so uninteresting. The enemies are not hard. They do not have that much health. Semi-co-op, it makes sense. You're racing against each other to try to kill the most enemies. Fine. But then even then, like, why would I weaken an enemy, and then allow you to kill it? You get all the glory points, so that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So there's a whole bunch of like tension things that I just don't think work. But in a full co-op game or a true solo game, again, I was playing up on the 3 or 4 player boards, and I still killed every single monster that there was without much of a sweat when I put my first playthrough of Horizon Zero Dawn on the channel. So just like, why bother, right? And I think that's the thing. One of the things that I'm curious with about Steamforged is their internal discussions when it comes to them translating these excellent video game IPs and trying to translate them into the tabletop realm. Because look, I can get 40 hours of play out of a video game, and I might not mind the grindiness where it just automatically saves. I don't have to do the work of setting it up. Generally, it's always a solitary activity. I'm not doing this with friends. I think you could really cut out all the crap that gets you to the boss battles and make this an excellent, excellent top tier boss battle there. And I'm not just like throwing in, extra words there for no reason. Like, I really like a lot of what this game does. I really like the armor system. I really like the idea of how the level ups work. I mean, if you gave me sequential boss battler, I think this game could be absolutely amazing. And maybe that's what Monster Hunter World's going to be. It's a lot of what I expect Primal to be, whereas this is just basically here's 2.5 to 3 hours of not very exciting stuff, and then we're gonna give you a big climax 5 hours in, and I'm getting the sense already from reading the rules of Dark Souls that Dark Souls is probably gonna fall into that same pit for me, where it's just I want more of the good stuff. I think one of the reasons Oathsworn has taken the world by storm is because so much of the game is a boss battler aspect from everything I've read, and I think, look, this isn't video game world, right? There's a million games competing for table space. They all take time. Gaming groups aren't going to want to come together and spend 7 hours playing Horizon Zero Dawn or Dark Souls, or even 4 hours, or even 5 hours if you can help it. If I'm playing the game for 5+ hours, it better be Twilight Imperium Fourth Edition, right? Like that's just kind of where I'm at. Um, with a lot of my gaming groups, like we'll play through the ages occasionally. There are other longer games. I'm not trying to say that there aren't, but something like this, a co-op where it's just grindy, 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 and then you get the payoff, it doesn't really translate the tabletop very well. So I still need to explore Dark Souls a lot. I was surprised to see that in the new rules they still had the idea that you're going to go back and replay encounters, but I digress. We'll get that to that on another day. And maybe it'll be something else that I'll just figure out a way to simulate to get up to the good parts as I'm doing here today. So I'm going to move Stormbird off the table, and let's get into, simulating the rest of it so we can come back and see him. Now, this is the map for Stormbird. Most of the battles, here's the map for Thunderjaw. Most of the battles will happen on these tiles, and these tiles are double-sided, and there are 6 of them in the base game. I get the sense that there are extra ones in other expansions. They all have an A and a B side, which can matter, I guess, in certain encounters. All the encounters that I have say use the A side. I'm sorry, they all have, my bad. These are all A. I don't have any of the B tiles. Right, these are all A tiles. I guess the B tiles are in expansions. There is a 1 and 2 player side and a 3 and 4 player side, is what I meant to say. Remember when I was playing through solo, I found the true solo maps so boring that I actually was playing in the 3 and 4 player side just to have more enemies, but that also allowed me to just have only 2 encounters before I got to the big hunt against the boss. Today, like the game tells you to do 4, it's just too many, and there's really no reason for it. So today I'm going to do 3 simulated encounters, and then we're going to do the boss battle. And again, the boss battles are where the game flourishes for me, where a lot of the design of the game flourishes for me. The idea of attacking the enemy versus the attacking the components, the idea of having to position yourself well, the idea of having to know a bit of how the enemy behaves or might behave and anticipate. All of that's super rich, super interesting, super engaging. It's an amazing game. And maybe Horizon Zero Dawn 2.0 will just focus on that part, because I think that's for me as a solo gamer, that's a frustrating part where I'm like, I want to tell you how amazing this game is, but I really can't, because the game as designed I don't think is that amazing. This part is amazing, right? And that's why I'm just trying to put this out there, to give the game the fairest showing that I can, and tell you what I enjoy, what I didn't. Now if you're like a Horizon Zero Dawn guy, like I love the grindiness and that's what I want to do, and like this is going to be my game, like look, you might enjoy picking off 100 of these little suckers to incrementally improve, in a very much more time-consuming, painstaking way. But that's not my thing. That's not where I'm at with how I'm, using my table these days. So I'm going to move this off so we can get to what I'm saying. So again, normally in a real game of Horizon Zero Dawn, you're going to take these encounter cards, and the encounter cards will depend on whoever the ultimate hunt is, right? So the ultimate hunt is Stormbird, so I have Stormbird's encounter cards. There are 4 of them that are level 1 encounters, 4 of them that are level 2 encounters, 4 of them that are level 3 encounters, and you're supposed to shuffle them in a way that you end up with 4 encounters where ultimately one's guaranteed to be level 1, one's guaranteed to be level 3, one's guaranteed to be level 2, and then the 4th one could be any of those 3 depending on how you shuffle. I think that's, again, overkill. I'm just going to simulate 3 encounters instead of 4. And I'm going to guarantee I do a level 1 encounter, followed by a level 2 encounter, followed by a level 3 encounter. There also is this whole mechanic where you can look at the first 2 encounters to choose which one you want to do. forget that. I'm just going to fully randomize it, and then we'll kind of see how I do it. Now, why I need to simulate the encounters at all is I need to get some cards out of this deck, and now these cards are going to allow me to buy new equipment out of these decks, because we're going to see the merchant after each one of these encounters. Our starting equipment, and there were 3 characters I have not featured yet. I randomly chose these 2. It's probably good. The 4th character that will not be featured on the channel is the Oseram Forge Smith. The Oseram Forge Smith does a lot of stuff with traps. It's an interesting mechanic. I didn't really love it, the limited plays that I had of it, and I don't think it would be very strong against a Stormbird. I could be wrong about that, but that, if you want to play on hard mode, that might be something you can try on your own. Again, there are 4 characters that come in the base game. Let me look at the chat. X Hunternator, what's up, sir? Heidi ho! And TT to digital is better, not streamlining, but expanding. Tabletop to digital is better, not streamlining, but expanding. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, tabletop to digital, I mean, if you look at, people are raving about the new digital version of, Gloomhaven. You're adding more. I could definitely see that. Like, it does seem, if you're gonna get these IPs, and look, that's what Steamforged does. They get these amazing video game IPs, and they make games out of them. I just wonder why they feel so wed to all of the aspects. Like what do people love the most about these video games? Let's make that into a tabletop game and give me a packaging. Like, if you gave me like a game that lasts an hour and just an amazing boss battler, that's a fun freaking game, dude. My friends are going to want to play that more, right? But if you give me a 4-hour game, or 3 hours of it is kind of like we're just kind of going through the motions, I just don't know if the payoff's there. And that stuff. And anytime I find myself, when I start messing with the rules of a game, I just know somewhere deep down inside that game's not going to be in my collection for very long. Like, I'm just not a house ruler. And I know some people could do that. Like, they're going to house rule the heck out of the game, make it the game they want, and they're going to have a party with it. Like, there's a reason why Return to Dark Tower is not going to be in my collection much longer, right? Like, I had a house rule that right away because it was just the power spike issue and stuff like that. So, we'll see. Like, it is what it is, and I'm just being honest. I feel a little bad about it, man. I mean, Steamforged has been awesome for me, and I want to. I don't like ragging any game. Even when I was railing about how garbage Twilight Imperium, or not Twilight, how garbage Imperium Legends was with some of the production decisions, like, people work hard in these games, and I get it, and these are more passion projects, and who the heck am I, just some yahoo with a camera, spouting off some opinions that may or may not be fair. All right, I try to be fair. I want to be fair and balanced. Let's roll the die, and we'll just do these encounters one at a time, right? So that's 2. That's the 3 deck. So I had the 4 cards from 1, and I'm just going to randomly pick 1 using a die roll. 3, so that's going to be our encounter. Now, how am I going to simulate this? Look, if I was going to actually set up this encounter, it would tell me to set up A1, 1A, 2A, and 5A on the board. Now, I know that if I set up 1A, 2A, and 5A, that 1A and 2A are going to tell me in a 3 or 4 player game, which I'll be using those sides for sure, that in a 3 or 4 player game, I'm supposed to have 2 A enemies on both A1 and 2, and I'm supposed to have 2 B enemies on 3. So I'm going to, the A enemy is the Watcher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to get the Watcher card, and I know that every time I defeat a Watcher, I'm going to get 1 gear. So they're going to have 4 of those, 2 on 1 and 2 on 2. And I'm going to go to 5A. The 5A enemy is the Strider. I know every time I defeat a Strider, I'm going to get 2 gear. And I know if I defeat all of the enemies, I get 2 bonus gear. So, look, I'm on the 2-player side, which has doubled the enemies. I mean, I'm on the 3 or 4-player side, which has doubled the enemies. I mean, there is an argument like maybe I'm taking a little bit too much as far as the equipment goes, but like, it is what it is. I mean, there are other opportunities to get more gear. Again, there will be things on there where you have these pieces of equipment where I could spend an action and get more gear that way. So I'm just gonna just make it simple. Instead of doing 4 encounters, I'm doing 3. I'm not gonna worry about anything like this, and I'm just gonna take the certain number of gear based on a very rudimentary calculation. So here we go. So we're gonna have 6 enemies total, 1 gear for each, plus 2. So I'm gonna get 8 pieces of gear, or 8 pieces of salvage. I keep saying the wrong thing, and I'm gonna give that to our 2 heroes over here. Note that the Bannock Survivor starts with a metal shards, and the Karja or Karya it's got to be. I'm assuming the J is not silent. The Karja Warrior is starting with a chill water. Phoenix Knight, what's up, Eric? How are you, sir? I always get nervous about these kinds of IP switches, game to movie, book to game. Main question is how faithful the adaptation be to the source material. Lee, Rack Up Magnet, how are you? To be fair to the designer, Survivor Zero Dawn isn't really a boss battler. Grind can be fun if the grind is meaningful. Maybe some story and exploration would have been better. Hunted air at lunch over. Catch this later. Good luck, Greg. Thank you, sir. Yeah, no, that's totally fairly. Like, I mean, I've talked to friends who play Horizon Zero Dawn, like the video game, and really, really like it, and they've said the same thing. Where it's like that does seem true to what the real video game is, but again, you're trying to adapt this to tabletop. Like, grind in tabletop generally is not liked. You know, if you look at a lot of the complaints, I'm just moving myself over here a little bit, kind of balance this out. Um, if you look at a lot of games, like grind is not great, dude. Like, and I just wonder why they felt the need to keep that in the game. And it's not, and it's, I mean, again, if you put grind in the way that's interesting, that's fine. It's just not, I don't find it interesting, especially solo. I find it very, and even co-op. I mean, maybe if I was playing the semi-co-op mode, it'd be more interesting. I just find it very, very not engaging enough. There's no challenge. There's no sense of like, you know, genuine threat. There's not like interesting decisions. The interesting decisions come in the level up process, which I'm kind of simulating right now. Lee, I'm a big fan of the Soulsborne video games, but no real interest in the board games for some reason. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of. I'm probably going to have echoed a lot of the same things I like and things I don't. Based on looking at it, I am excited. It does seem like the new base rules. I mean, they sent me the old game plus one of the new sets, so I get the new rules. It does seem like the new rules add a lot of interest to the game. So I'm still very open-minded about that. I think I might like that a lot more than I have enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, hopefully, I like the boss battle aspect of Dark Souls as much as I like the big boss hunts in Horizon Zero Dawn. So, all right, so I'm getting 8 of these. I'm going to give 4 to the Bannock. So on top of the metal shards, we get a blaze, we get a chill water, we get a metal shards, ruined parts. So that's garbage. I have 4 more coming out: a chill water, a trophy shot. Gain 1 glory point. That's also not helpful. And this and this. Again, another reason the number of times the salvage deck trolls you is a thing I very much do not like about this game. So I'm going to put that over there. Now, the good thing in co-op, we can share all of our things. We'll pool all of our salvage, and we'll be able to make that work. So we'll put that deck up there for now. I'm going to shuffle up the level 1 merchant cards. Now, I will force myself to buy at least one thing at every merchant, so I just don't save up all my equipment, all my salvage to buy all the level 3 equipment. Obviously, level 3 equipment is better. It would be a valid strategic choice to save up a lot of your stuff to get better equipment in the level or 2 or 3 decks. But it is what it is. So when we're going to go to the merchant, we're going to set a certain number of items available for purchase in front of us. There will be 2 cores. So this is the resist ranged weave. Cores or weaves can be attached to armor or weapons. So the cores can be attached to your weapons. Your weaves will be attached to your armor, and they're just basically upgrades. Reduce the damage suffered by this hunter from ranged attacks by 1. We have one piece of one weapon that I can add here. It's going to be the sharp shot bow. Now, the sharp shot bow, if you notice, has this little semicircle here. That means it can be attached to a hero at the top. This would be something especially important for the Ossar and Forge Smith because it takes some time to get those freaking um, those traps set up. But the sharp shot bow, if you can get the ammo for it, performing an attack with this weapon costs 2 actions, not just 1. So that's not great. It's not that strong of a weapon to justify 2 actions. So not something I'm very interested in. And plus, both of these guys do have a ranged attack weapon with the amount of ammo in their deck that will allow me to do ranged attacks with the sling for the Carja Warrior or the Hunter Bow for the Bannock Survivor. We're going to have 2 ammos. We have a shock wire. Now this is only basically going to work with a kind of weapon that I don't have. So this is ammo. However, again, I need to have that symbol or that symbol, and this card has neither. So that ammo is not something I'm going to be interested in. This is a weapon. We already have one weapon out there. Here is a core damage coil. On a critical hit, this attack inflicts an additional 1 damage in addition to any other effects. So the timing of how damage done is interesting. Critical hits are anytime you roll this symbol. So the blue die doesn't have any critical hits, but it pretty much guarantees you a lot more damage than the orange die or the black die for that matter. The black die is only critical hits, but it's half a miss, half critical hits. And then the orange die is kind of your bread and butter die. It has 1 blank, it has 1 critical hit side, and then it has 1 or 2 damage on, I guess, is it 2? Okay, 1 damage on half, 2 damage on 1, a critical hit on 1. Critical hit damage is applied immediately and can ignore armor. Then you figure out additional damage, including damage from something like the damage coil. Again, the timing's a little strange, but it kind of works, I guess. We have an upgraded armor that I could buy. So the Nora Protector Light, you'd be rolling 2 yellow dice. Now that could be great for the Carja Warrior, because when making an evade roll that only contains yellow dice, you may roll an additional yellow die and then discard a single die of your choice. So that piece of armor I'll put there. That is a weave. That is a weave. That is another armor. This is a satchel. The Hoarder Satchel increased this hunter's hand size by 1. That could be really strong and something to consider, although it could mean you get knocked out a little bit easier, so you do want to be careful. We have an weapon, so that's not great. I'm looking for another ammo. Here we go, the hard point arrow. I think that's everything, right? Yeah, it's supposed to be 2, 1, 1. Weapon, armor, ammo, coils, and a thing. Making sure I'm not missing anything. I don't know why I'm second guessing this. Yep, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. We are good. So I'm going to put this up here, and then we're going to go to the Carja Warrior first. What does she want to buy? I don't know. All right, so when you're buying things, you could put 2 metal shards in as any other resource. So there's blaze, there's chill water, and then there's whatever that is. And of course, I don't have any of those, so that's not great. The damage coil is interesting if I think I'm doing a lot of critical hits, which I may or may not be. I do think this Nora Protector makes some sense. So if I spend the 1 chill water, we're going to upgrade these silks. Oh, that's a little annoying. So my current armor allows me 2 weaves. If I upgrade to the Nora Protector Light, it only will allow me 1 weave. So that is something to consider and something I don't completely love. Note that the Hunter Bow can use this hardpoint arrow, so that's something pretty easy to buy with the Bannock Survivor. Yeah, I still think I get this. Carja silks will go away, and now I just know I can only put 1 weave on top of that, and we'll put this underneath her little Carja card. We will have to do an upgrade in a second. So I spent that. We're going to replace the open armor spot. Nope. 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 I'm sorry, Nora Protector Light. That was the Carja Silk Light. Yeah, so you'll notice that this deck pretty much has all of the starter items for the other warriors. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the armor. I just got it. My bad. I know what I'm doing. There we go. That should go there. Yeah, that was my first armor. Yeah, I think that came off a long time ago. Great. What am I going to do? I'm going to spend 2 metal shards with the Bannock Survivor. We'll get myself another hardpoint arrow, because why the heck not? Add a blue arrow to my deck, which means that I would, if my hand size wasn't increasing, I would have to discard a card to make room for that. My hand size is increasing. I doubt I'm buying anything else here. Don't see the upside, but I will get another piece of ammo out. Here we go. We have a fire arrow. It does cost a metal shard. Ooh. The Bannock Survivor might also want that. If the attack damages a target, the target suffers fire. Being able to apply a condition could be really helpful. I want to make sure I did not skip over another. So the last 2 things in here were fire arrows. So if I did accidentally skip one over, it would have been that. Bannock Survivor. Coil. I'm not sure if that should have come out or not, or if it should have been the fire point. So what was I looking for originally? I have a feeling that shouldn't have been out there yet, because it might have been the Carja Tripcaster. I can't remember the order these suckers came out, or was I looking for a satchel? I don't remember, but it is what it is. I'm just going to buy the hardpoint arrow, and then we'll figure out the rest later. All right, so let me do the upgrade for the Bannock. I'm going to add 2 intuition. So we completed a level 1 encounter. So I'm now going to get my level 1 upgrade card. So I'm going to come over here. I have 2 options. I can take Insulated, which I'm not that interested in. The Hunter may scrap cards from the discard pile when suffering damage instead of discarding from the top of their deck. Scrapping cards is rough because it means, again, my life source gets smaller and smaller. So instead, I'm going to add these 2 intuition cards. So that gets me up to 18 with a hand limit, because again, hand limit on the side. I start with 16 with the Bannock Survivor. It's now up to 18, but I just added 3 cards. So it does mean I need to get rid of a card that is currently in my deck to make sure my hand size is not over its limit. So the card I want to get rid of is, that could be good. Scrap 3 cards in the bottom of the deck to take a free action. Driven is not something I plan on doing at all. There's 2 of them in there, and again, they require you to scrap cards. Like, you don't have that much ability to scrap cards. It's like kind of one of the Bannock. It's like the Bannock's thing, but if you scrap cards too much, again, you're asking to get knocked out real freaking easy. So, not going to worry about that too much. We're going to come to the Carja Warrior. What are we going to upgrade her to? So our options are, we can get the Silk's Light, but I already took the Nora Protector Light. I like that more. The fact that I can roll 2 yellow dice means I can roll 3 yellow dice with her special ability, assuming I never replace her base card. I could take Prideful, or I can take Elusive. After resolving an evade roll, this hunter may perform a sprint action instead of dodging. Great. I'm going to add those 2 cards. Her hand limit goes from 14 to 16, and we do have the 16 cards here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's great. And make sure I have 18 cards here for the Bannock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Going to get all these cards out. And thank you, Level 1 Merchant, for stopping by to say hello. We are now done with you. We're going to go simulate Level 2. So our level 2 encounter, I'm just going to roll the die from here. I don't know why I'm even bothering to shuffle and turn them over. I'm just rolling a die, but it is what it is. Number 2, counting top to bottom. Great. So we have 2A and 3A. So it's a level 2 encounter, but it only has 2 tiles instead of 3 tiles. The 2A tile would give us 2 2A enemies. The 3A tile would give us 2B enemies. The 2A enemies are the Grazers. The Grazers give us 1 salvage for defeating each of them. And the 3A tile would give us 2 Scrappers. The Scrappers would give us 2 each for defeating them. And then if we defeat all the enemies, which we can pretty much safely assume we would, that's going to be +1. So we're going to get 1, 2, 6, 7 salvage from this encounter, assuming we played it through and we defeated all the enemies there. 7 salvage. We're going to start with the Bannock this time. We get our first Sparker. That's 1. Another Sparker. That's 2. A Metal Shard. That's 3. A Machine Lens. So it's a Metal Shard. And a Wild of our choice. So that's 4. A Trophy Shot. That's useless. That would be 5. A Blaze is 6, and then the Machine Heart, a rare prize indeed. This hunter gains 2 glory points and discards this card. So again, 2 glory points might be great if we cared about glory points. We don't, so it's unfortunate. We would have actually rathered some genuine salvage. We're going to go over here and shuffle up the level 2 merchant cards. Phoenix Knight says, I think grind needs to be either interesting or thematic. The middle of Black Orchestra feels like a grind at times, but thematically, it really works there. Yeah, no doubt. I agree with that. In my opinion, grind needs to constantly reward and or build up to a big payoff. Best thing about board games, they get the padding wrong. You can skip it. In modern video games, they make you pay to skip it. All right, and then we have a new dating site for all taste, baby. Uh-oh. What was that? Remove. Did I? Oh no. Rocket, I think I accidentally reported the wrong one. Sorry, dude. Rocket, if you get a thing, man, let me know. Shoot, how do I undo that? It's not. Oh, that's super annoying. Oops. It won't even let me see it. That's really bad. Havanas, hey man, how are you? What's up, dude? Havanas is a big Too Many Bones guy. Big. I think you play a lot of Classfire these days too, man. See him on the forums a lot on Facebook. Is this game any good? Love the video game, but heard iffiness about the board game. Yeah, I echo iffiness. I think the part I'm featuring today is the best part, and I think that's really good. Like genuinely really good. The grind to get up there is the big freaking problem, and there's no way to undo. Oh, shoot. No, nothing here, but the spam's gone. Yeah, I lost your last. If you wanted to copy and paste your last comment before that about the one that starts with IMO, that could be good, because I think I deleted it from the channel because I'm smart like that. All right, let's go back to merchant. Level 2 merchant. We have a health potion. Scrap this card to shuffle the bottom 6 cards from the hunter's discard pile into their action deck. This could be really helpful, but it's pretty expensive. It costs a chill water and 2 metal shards. So we already have a miscellaneous item, so that slot's full. We're going to get an ammo card as a fire bomb. Again, it doesn't work for the weapon. Oh, it works for the sling. That is interesting. We have a damage coil, so that if the attack exceeds the target's armor value, it inflicts 1 additional damage. We have a shock coil. On a critical hit, this attack inflicts shock. Now, some knowledge about the enemy we're about to face, we cannot shock the Stormbird unless we kill a component that explicitly tells us to shock the Stormbird, so this is going to be useless against the Stormbird, and shock isn't as strong as you might think it is anyway, so that's a whole other thing. A hard point arrow, a Karja Rattler. When performing an attack with this weapon, the hunter may choose to discard the top card of their action deck instead of ammunition cards. This could be interesting. It's 3 what are those? 3 metal shards, and it would basically, again, complete the circle. It would go on top of one of the warriors, and it would give another kind of attack, and we'd always have the ammo for it. So if we don't actually upgrade the sling, having this could be a nice substitution, because it would give me a range attack, range 1, but it would give me the ability to roll a yellow and a blue. The problem is I'm just discarding the top card of my deck, so I wouldn't have like an ammo adding a die to it. So is it worth it? Is it not? Probably not ultimately. That's useless. And there's some armor. The Bannock Ice Hunter Medium. Ooh, I kind of like that a lot because that 1 black die is not enough for the Bannock. It would really it would really increase my chances of a little bit of rolling a critical, which is 4 defense, which could be huge for survival. It's Bannock. So Bannock is going to go first. I'm going to spend the chill water and a metal shard to get that armor. So just upgrading armor early here. Yay! It's good. It's back. Uh, Jens, I just fell into Darkest Dungeon Halloween sale. Are we gonna see that on your channel? I mean, I don't own it, so probably not. I We'll see. Look, I'm gonna pack some plugged in 2 weeks. I mean, if publishers want to send me games, I'll get them on. But yeah, I haven't seen enough of Darkest Dungeon that tells me yes, I want that. Um, Rocket already commented. So, is this a Steamforged game? The only good one I played is Resident Evil 3. I own a bunch of Dark Souls, but it's a very bad game. The new set seems to fix it, but I don't trust it's worth the investment. Yeah, so I talked about that for a little bit in the intro, Gens. Um, yeah, Resident Evil 3 is great. And especially great solo. I really do love that game. I don't play it as much. Campaign games get harder and harder for me to get to the table just because of the time. I do expect to feature Resident Evil 3 again next month, though. I'm kind of committed to finishing off a campaign I'm in, getting into the City of Ruin stuff, and getting that on the channel. Dark Souls, I'm cautiously optimistic. I have the original game and one of the new sets. I do wish. Let me replace this before I forget. I do wish that the new sets just totally did away with the idea of replaying encounters. But again, that's just my initial assessment going in. I don't know if everyone knows Adam Smith from Rolling Solo. He loves the game, and I've you know briefly using Messenger have chatted with him a little bit. Those are my fingers typing stuff on Messenger, uh, and I, I don't know, man. I'm skeptical. I think at some point the idea of like having to replay scenarios, but supposedly the fact the variety of the scenarios makes it feel a lot less grindy than it used to. So each scenario feels a little bit different, but again, you're adding on to game length in a way that is like why. Um, there's I have thoughts. So maybe not great ones. All right, we're gonna go to the Karja. She's gonna buy this firebomb because who doesn't like a firebomb? It's black. Yeah, I dig it. So this will go there. Firebomb is going to be added to her deck. We're gonna flip this over to get another ammo. Oh, that would have been better. This ammo is a trap. That's not great. Oh, man. Critical hit. I don't know if these coils are worth it. I don't know if this health portion is worth it. It gives you like a free action. You scrap the card and it gives you like basically a free action to get 6 cards back in, but that's a hefty price to pay for that. I think I chill. I think I chill. Remember, you could always craft during your turn and get 3 cards back into your deck. So I'm not sure I love the idea of having a card that I have to scrap just to get 6 back in. But again, it's the action cost plus that. But I just don't have a ton of salvage, and I really want to see these level 3 upgrades. So I think I'm going to chill there. We're going to thank the merchant for his time. And we still have to do our upgrades to level 3. Now, I will have some comments about the board here. These are basically wreckages, so if you get attacked there, you can ignore the attack and just take this off the board. I don't know why they only give you 4 in the base game, and then they give you maps that require 5 for setup. It's little things that make me go, what is going on here? All right, we're going to go to, we have to do our upgrades. So the Banuk, since I went down to intuition, she can either go to Leave It for the Shamans or Frostwalker. And I think we're going to make her Frostwalker. Her starting character card is when this hunter kills an enemy, they may scrap 2 cards from the bottom to gain 1 additional glory point. That's obviously not very helpful, so we're upgrading to Frostwalker. So note, that's going to give me a hand size of 20. And I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 cards in my deck. So I'm going to add 2 of these stamina cards, 1 and 2, which allow me to draw a card. Don't do much otherwise, but they round my deck out to get up to 20. That will go there. This will go hither. Bam. We're going to go to the Karja Warrior. She is has the option to go to Frostbite or Deep Freeze. Let me see what those are. Frostbite gives her the option to, but she has to replace her thing, and I don't like replacing her thing because I like the fact she can roll an extra yellow die. But if the hunter rolls a critical hit by making an evade roll that only contains yellow, they may apply frost to the enemy that attacked them. Man, I really don't. I kind of like the idea of rolling 3 dice and giving me more chance for critical hits, and hopefully I'll have other ways to apply frost. And then, yeah, I'll take the deep freeze. If target suffering a condition at the start of this attack or removes a component, gain an additional glory point. Well, that's not great either. Oh, man. Frostbite would also prevent me from getting the Lightbringer, which is what I think I really want. Nerves, going from Frostbite to Nerve of Steel is just a waste of upgrade opportunities. Element of Mastery, yeah, like going to Frostbite and then having to, like, I replace a card for a second and then I have to go to another card and I'm not getting any additional help. Killing an enemy suffering addition doesn't make any sense. Hunter rolls. Nerves of Steel is actually enticing though. If you roll a critical and making an evade roll that only contains yellow, you ignore all damage and effects of the attack. Deep Freeze could be helpful, and I'll explain why as we go. So I'm going to take the 2 Deep Freeze cards, and we're up to 18 cards there. This will go over here. So when in a semi co-op game, when you kill something, you get glory points. When you get glory points, again, that's what helps you win the game. In a co-op game, or in a solo game or a true co-op game, when you would get a glory point, instead you immediately discard the glory point and you just can take the bottom card in your discard pile and shuffle it into your deck. So I'm going to try to kill a bunch of components. Having the defreeze to allow me to get more glory points, to get more cards back in my deck could be helpful. And let me count her deck: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Oh, I added the firebomb. All right, so I have to drop a card. I have to drop a card. After this hunter makes an attack, they may reduce the damage inflicted by 1. Nope, not going to be doing the anatomical precision. This will go away. And I'll put this over here. All right, so one more simulated round to go. So we have our round 3 cards. I'm going to shuffle them up, turn them over for no good reason. Roll a die. It's a 4. Top card coming out. And here we go. So we have 4 tiles we'd set out. 1 and 2 would both give me A enemies. 3 and 5 would both give me B enemies. The A enemies are striders. When you kill a strider, nope, I lied. The A enemies are scrappers. When you kill a scrapper, you would get 2 salvage points. The B enemies are striders. When you kill a strider, you get 1 salvage point, or one salvage card. So if we get 4 scrappers, that's a total of 8. 4 striders, that's a total of 4. If we kill everything, that's a total of 2 more. So 4, 8, 12, 14 cards. I like 14 cards. We'll take 14 cards off the top, starting with the Karja. 8, 12, 14 cards. So it's going to be 7 each. So let's do it real quick. So 1, machine, core gives me 2 metal shards, sparker, metal shards, blaze, metal shards, ancient statue. Discard this card during the merchant stat to reveal the top 3 cards of the merchant deck and purchase one of them for the cost of a metal shard. That's super nice. 2 metal shards, 1 metal shard, a metal shard, and a wild, a chill water, a metal shard, and then trophy shot. 1 extra glory point, useless. And up here, the Ancient Vessel. This hunter may discard as the start of the Merchant Vessel step to visit a different level of merchant. We're already visiting a level 3 merchant, so that's also fairly useless. So the last 2 cards were garbage. So even if I was going to try to nerf this a little bit, not take those 2 for killing all the enemies, the last 2 didn't help me. Anyway, so this goes away. These are all my shards and things. I guess I'll still keep them separate for now, but again, we can pull them to buy new stuff. We go to the level 3 merchant. Let's see what we get. Bam, this can go. Oh, I put this upside down because of course I did. Why did I do it? Done. Checking the chat. Still, Jans' comment. The new sets he's a fix. Yeah, we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic about Dark Souls. I mean, the minis look freaking cool. The battle system seems good, man. I mean, there's a lot that intrigues me about it. And I saw enough people saying, "Hey, if you house rule some things, it's actually a very good game." Again, I hate house ruling stuff. So it's like the fact that I'm like, all right, let's sign me up. And I heard about the new sets, and I was like, all right, let me check it out. They actually sent me the core game right around the time the new sets were coming out, and I was like, look, I'm not going to feature this until send me the rules for the new sets. But apparently, like a lot of the stuff with the campaign mechanics and whatnot, like don't totally make sense with the base set yet. They're going to be like an upgrade pack that comes after the base set to make the campaign more compatible with the new rules. I don't know. There's some questions. I have questions, lots of them. So the thing I'm most excited about with Steamforged is the fact that they resurrected Euthia. If I can be quite honest, man, Euthia is a game that I'm very excited about, but we will not have that in hand for quite some time, it appears. All right, we have the Hoarder's Satchel, increases Hunter's hand size by 1. That could be good, but again, there's like a downside to that too. We have an armor. Now, I've already upgraded both of their armors. I don't think this is going to be something I want to do. The damage coil. This attack exceeds the target's armor value. It inflicts 2 additional damage. That could be huge. We already have a miscellaneous. Oh, that's really good. Scrap this. This is what I would have. This is definitely worth it. Scrap this card to shuffle all of the cards in a Hunter's Script pile back into their action deck. Yes, please. That would have been very, very nice. Our ammo is a Shadow Hunter bow. That's probably not what I'm looking for, although maybe I grabbed that for the Bannock since I had not upgraded her weapon at all. We have our ammo here is going to be the Blast Wire, Shock Bomb. Blast Wire is garbage. Shock Bomb is also kind of garbage because again, I can't shock the Stormbird, so that's not lucky. The Fire Coil works, right? So ding, 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 and ding. Yeah, I don't like those ammo at all. How much do I like the ammo? Not at all. Whoo, let's figure this out. I'm gonna go with the Karja Warrior first. Definitely don't think I want to increase her hand size. The sling's gonna be rough. Like not having an upgraded weapon for her range attacks is a problemo. I think I could try to really. If I do her upgrade, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm gonna want to do here. I'm gonna get the Lightbringer, and that could take 2 coils, so that's gonna increase her hand size to 20. So I like that idea. So again, I went from Deep Freeze to Lightbringer. Let me do the upgrade for the Bannock. Retaliatory Strike, Winter Chill. Yeah, Retaliatory Strike. It is. After this hunter suffers damage from an enemy attack, scrap this card to the bottom 2 cards of the hunter's discard pile to inflict the same amount of damage to the enemy's hit points. So that's fine. Winter Chill would require me to place that card, and I already replaced it once. So I really hate double replacing the same thing. So this is out. I think maybe I added some damage coils to this. So if I spend the 2 Ooh, I could also do this. I'll do the Ancient Statue. Discard this card during the merchant stat to reveal the top 3 cards on the merchant deck and purchase one of them for the cost of a metal shard. It's armor, hardpoint arrow, and a hardpoint arrow. Dear God. Oh, that's really... I mean, I could go from Nora Protector Light to Nora Protector Heavy, but it makes my nimble roll just absolutely pointless. So that's stupid. None of these arrows work. I guess in a fully co-op game, I could just buy a hardpoint arrow for the Banuk, but I think I'm just gonna let this all go away. That was a bad pull. Yikes. I want a better weapon than I have, so that didn't do anything for me. So if I get the 2, do I have 2 blazes? I could do this. I'll send a blaze, and the metal shard to get the damage coil. And I'll put this on the Lightbringer because that's going to be my better weapon by far. Since I got rid of that coil, I'm going to add a coil or a weave. It's another damage coil. Again, if this attack exceeds the target's armor value, it inflicts 2 additional damage. I don't hate that. I think I'm going to get the new Shadow Hunter bow. I'm going to spend 3 metal shards to get this. This is the starting card for the Banuks. That will go there. Get another weapon. Not a weapon, not a weapon, not a weapon, not a weapon. We have another sling. Oh, that's lucky. Yep, new sling it is, baby. I would, because again, all my ammo is sling, so if I didn't get another sling weapon, I would have been really rough shape over here. This is my ranged weapon for sure with the Carja. So it cost me 3 metal shards. Again, the cost is always at the top right. I'm replacing this sling. That's a level 0 card. I get another weapon. These are not weapons. It is the Shadow Tripcaster. On a critical hit. Ooh, that I don't hate. The Banuk is going to get a damage coil. Do I have another blaze? I do. So I'm going to spend that and that to get a damage coil. Remember, it's a metal shard in the wild and a blaze. And we're going to grab this, put it on the Shadow Hunter bow, beef that up. Again, if I exceed armor, the armor of the Stormbird isn't that high. It's only a 2. So that'll really help. Getting another coil to resist melee weave. Reduce the damage suffered by this hunter from melee attacks by 2. That sounds good to me. So if I have a blaze, I need a metal shard. I can take that from the Banuk. Again, we're doing fully cooperative. A blaze, a sparker, and a metal shard. So I'm going to put those 3 in to take the resist metal weave. Put that there. Like that. Reduce damage suffered by pulse attacks by 1. Get another weave or a... I keep saying core. I should have been saying coils. Resist melee weave again. That sounds interesting, except I'd have to put 2 metal shards in to get a spark. I'm not saying that's impossible, but I just did not get a lot of sparks. So if I take stock of where we're at, I have 2 chill warders, 3 sparkers, and not a blaze. So I have 3 sparkers, 2 metal shards, and 2 chill waters. That's not amazing. Again, I could do 2 metal shards. I could always turn a sparker in as a metal shard. I could turn 2 metal shards in for a blaze. I'm not sure I want the Hoarder's Satchel. There's definitely a downside to that, because if at the beginning of your turn you're drawing up to your max hand size is now 6, and if you don't have 6 cards left in your deck, guess what? You just lost. I don't want that. I definitely don't want that. I mean, I don't have that much more I'm buying here anyway, right? Having both of them with a resist melee weave isn't crazy, but that is going to be expensive. So the question is, am I trying to get the fire coil? I mean, rolling a critical hit with a Shadow Sling isn't nuts, and being able to inflict a condition onto the Stormbird can be really helpful. How lucky do I feel? All right, let me get the fire coil. It's going to cost me essentially 2 metal shards to become a blaze, and then I'll spend a sparker to be a metal shard, and then I'm going to put this fire coil here on the Shadow Sling. We're going to get another coil. It is the resist range weave. Reduce damage suffered by this hunter from range attacks by 2. Could do that. That's a lot cheaper. Just be a chill water and a sparker. Take a look at my ammo here. I don't have any blazes. I do have those. The chill water is going to also be really useful for me. So I don't know if it makes a lot of sense to be spending those. Shock bomb is silly. I could get the Hoarder Satchel. Oof. I'm worried. I'm going to hold on to the Chill Waters for the Card Warrior. I will get the Hoarder Satchel, so I'm going to turn this Sparker into a Metal Shard, spend this Sparker, and the Hoarder Satchel will go up top. It's going to be hidden, but basically my hand size is indeed increased by 1. So if I at least have that on the screen that you can see it, then that's fine. But it makes a full circle. First 3 times I played it, I was like, why can't I fit this? Like, does it go in my deck? Does it not? And then you realize, oh, the artwork shows you that it just completes your circle, dude. Excellent. That's so thoughtful. It's like, what is that? I couldn't tell what this was. Oh, it's the wing of Stormbird. By the way, if you ever get this game, be very careful with Stormbird, because his thing is super not secure. I did have to put some glue on there, and of course he did fall off before I put the glue on there, and his legs snapped the heck off, and it took me more time than I wish to admit to glue that sucker back on and get it to the glorious state that it is today. But yeah, that snapped. Also, the Bannock, their thing came totally whacked out. So I glued it and then put a little bit of that blue sticky putty on there, and then put some more glue on top of that, and it seems like that has done the trick. But yeah, not the most secure piece of mini I've ever seen. So let me make sure I have 20 cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I do not have 20 cards. I only have 18. Adding 2 staminas. Again, 20 is my level 3 hand limit. And I should have 22 cards up here for the Bannock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. I'm going to remove these things because we do not need them. And actually, I'm going to probably leave these, see if I can keep them on the bases, because these are going to be really hard to identify apart from each other. Is there a way I can stick you on here? I kind of know who they are, but they can be really hard to see with the camera. Maybe this will help. Maybe it won't. Maybe I'm just wasting time. So at least I'm wasting our time, not just my time. All right. I'm worried I'm going to knock this little surgery I did on this weapon by doing this, but it's worth the risk. So, bam. Oh, I put it backwards. Of course I did. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. Does not seem to want to stay. We'll try it. If it falls off too many times, I'll just give up. So these can come off. We have simulated our upgrade process. I'm going to shuffle these decks. So I put this on the board. So this tells you that this is upside down because basically you should orient the thing based on, you see that hex on that, the little white hex in the corner is supposed to be that little bird hex on the thing. So that's why I have this card upside down. And then it tells me again, everywhere where there's a square, I put a wreckage thing. Wherever there's a triangle, I put a I put a boulder. There are no triangles on here, so I don't know why they bothered to put that there. Like, I have questions. And then the Stormbird's going to go here. So the Stormbird takes up 4 different hexes. He is a large statue, like, I mean, within like the term of art of the game. Essentially, that means if you were playing with another large statue, another large figure, not statue, large figure at the same time, they could not have 2 large figures in the same spot. One large figure could impede the movement of another. That very rarely happens in this game, from what I have seen. So shuffling up the Bannock's deck, we still have 2 Chill Waters left with the Carja Warrior. So you can see the level up process, right? I have essentially 3 new weapons, and I have 2 coils and a weave. And then for the Frostwalkers, they have, or I'm sorry, 3 new cards, 2 new weapons, 1 new armor upgrade. The Frostwalker has a new center card, a new armor, a new weapon, and it has a satchel that increases its hand limit. Additionally, it has only 1 coil, no weaves. So we'll see if that worked out. You are very much at the mercy of what comes off the merchant deck. At the same time, the decks aren't that big. There is some level of predictability to go along with that, in my experience. This is fine. Shuffling these up. We'll go from there. Jen says Uthia is amazing, but the price got crazy. I'm lucky enough to have played 3 or 4 times. It's an amazing game, though. I wish they would make all those tiles just be cards. There is no reason for them to be tiles. Just increase the price and makes it more fiddly. Yeah, I definitely, like, once a year, like 2021 was the year of Primal, and me was probably spending more for a game than was reasonable, and 2022 was the year of Uthia, and me spending more for a game than was probably reasonable. But I'm super excited about it, and yeah, we'll see when it delivers, how I feel about it. I was gonna like save the $90 and like not get all the storage things, like kind of make my own storage solutions, and kind of generally 99% of the time prefer it. But then when Steamforged took over, they really streamlined the packages they were offering, and at that point, it became kind of required. If I wanted all the other content, required to get all the nuts and bolts. I mean, it is what it is. But the fact that Steamforged resurrected it was super nice. All right, this is out. Let's get going. So basically, you have these purple arrows on the board. The Stormbird is just going to move once after each player's turn until the Stormbird is alert. One of the things I find about this game that I find a little funny is they really could have developed that alert and non-alert mechanic a lot more than they did. Once Stormbird is alert, he is alert for the rest of the thing. There is no him going backwards to a non-alert state. And then at that point, we will be pulling these cards. The Stormbird starts the game in airborne mode, so essentially Stormbird is like circling around in the air. Stormbird will become alert if at the beginning of his turn we are in his spot. He will become alert if we ever run by him. Running is moving 2 spaces in 1 action, and we run in any square adjacent. He will become alert if we are adjacent to him and not in tall grass. If we're in tall grass, which is indicated by these little hexes with the grassy looking thing, if we're adjacent to him and not in tall grass, he will become alert, and he will become alert if we ever do damage to him. As long as he's not alert, his armor value doesn't matter. His armor value is 2, but once he's alert, his armor value will always matter unless he's got a freeze condition on him, which hopefully he will have that happen a lot, considering we have the Frostwalker, again, which is the upgraded Bannock. That is the level 2 upgrade that we took. If it is alert, again, we'll draw a card based on whatever the condition of the Stormbird is. There's this card here. There's Airborne Stormbird, and then there is Grounded Stormbird. Stormbird has a bunch of components. Now, one of the things I really like about the bosses is it raises a whole level of strategy as to whether or not you want to attack the enemy itself or whether you want to attack the components. In the normal game, all the monsters have components. There is literally no reason I could have ever fathom to attack components as opposed to attacking the enemy itself. I don't know. Maybe there's some advanced strategies that I just never stumbled on, but like for real, you're just killing the enemy. Like it is what it is. So now to take down Stormbird, I assure you, you need to limit these components. Some components control very, very strong attacks. By killing other components, we can reduce damage from other attacks. Components will make the Stormbird suffer conditions. Like there's a lot of cool things that happen. And again, I'll probably roll a die when I draw cards from these respective decks. Some of the activations of the Stormbird will tell us to flip this card over. So the Stormbird will basically fluctuate between being airborne and being on the ground. Now, there are 2 reference cards. I really dislike how they did this. So we have a 1 or 2 player reference card and a 3 or 4 player reference card. I am playing the 3 or 4 player reference card. So the only major difference that you see off the bat is that the Stormbird has 60 health as opposed to 50. It still has 2 defense. It still gives you 3 salvage if defeated, which is bananas. I don't know. It is what it is. But we're not going to worry about that. We're just trying to kill it, and then the game will be over. I'm going to keep this side up to show us 2 rules, right? Because the back sides of these basically have essentially the same rules. So 1 is shock resistant. The enemy only suffers shock from its components being destroyed. And again, the only time it suffers shock is when the lightning gun is destroyed. The lightning gun has a terror value of 14. I'll explain terror value as we play. The flyer, the enemy has 2 behavior decks. When it activates, draw from the deck which matches the current face of its reference card. At the start of the encounter, the reference card should display the airborne side. Now let's talk about these components. The Stormbird has a total of, I believe, 9 components. So there is an A components. There's 1 A component, which again has a terror value of 14. There's 2 B components, and there are 2 C components, and there are 4 D components. So you can kill them one at a time. Every time you destroy a component, you will do damage to the enemy equal to whatever is listed next to that component type. So if I destroy one of the 4 D components, then I give 3 damage to the Stormbird. Additionally, I get a glory point, but again, in a co-op game, that just means I'm going to hit the bottom card of my deck, my discard pile, and I'm going to shuffle it into my deck, which is a way to stay around. Additionally, every time I do an increment of 10 damage to the Stormbird, again, I'm going to use these dice to track that, you get another glory point, which again, I could use to get a card from the bottom of my discard pile. It has to be the bottom card of your discard pile, and you shuffle it into your deck and keep, that's a way to keep alive longer. So I'll put this here, and this here. As soon as all 3 of these D20s are gone, if that happens, that means I have been fortunate enough to win the game. Super, super exciting. All right, I kept these 2 chill waters. They can be helpful with my shadow sling, as we'll see. But at this point, we're going to spend a couple of turns just trying to get ready to plot our attack against this amazing creature in front of us, and let's hope for the best. So I will start the game with the Banuk. The Frostwalker is how she prefers to be called now. That's, what it says on her card. So I'm going to grab 6 cards. Hand limit's normally 5. The Hoarder Satchel says, well, you actually get a little bit more than that. I'm going to put this a bit off the screen so I can make a little bit more room here. So pulling up 6 cards, we have Retaliatory Strike. After this hunter suffers damage from an enemy strike, I can scrap some cards to do an equal amount of damage back. Intuition, discard this card to reroll any number of dice when performing an attack or making an evade roll. Now, I do have some questions in the rulebook. The rulebook's not entirely clear, but it does seem, even though this is an interrupt card, that this needs to be played before I actually roll, not after. Something to keep in mind. This is a ability card. Now, every attack, you can only use 1 ability. So there's a difference between interrupt cards and ability cards. Ability cards can be added to attacks. Interrupt cards can be played when the timing point is. This says I can play this when performing an attack or making a bait roll. The timing point for this interrupt card is after a hunter suffers damage. So, or after this hunter specifically suffers damage. Sacrifice an ability card. This ability can only be used when performing a melee attack. I can discard up to 2 additional cards from my hand to add additional yellow dice for each discarded card. So essentially, I could play this, discard 2 of the cards, and roll not only a blue, but a blue and 2 yellows. Again, the yellows give me some chance of rolling a critical hit, which can be extremely helpful. We're going to take this card, the Experience in Hardship. While this hunter has 6 or less cards in their action deck, scrap this card when they are attacked to ignore all damage and effects of the attack. That can come in huge later, but you have to scrap it, so it's not something you can have often. And then Sacrifice. This is another ability card. This ability can only be used before a melee attack. We've already talked about that. And then finally, we have our first ammo. So these are not the greatest cards ever. At the beginning of my next turn, I could choose to discard a few of these to draw new cards. We will probably be taking advantage of that ability. So I'm going to put these 6 cards down. I have 2 actions. I will only be using one. I'm going to do a run ability. I'm going to run into this little wreckage area and just kind of chill there. After my turn is over, the Stormbird's going to go "Arr!" and go there. That's what the Stormbird sounds like. I know it's very strange. And we go to the Karja Warrior. The Karja Warrior is going to draw 5 cards. Again, does not have the Hoarder Satchel, which allows the Bannock Warrior to draw 6. We have Deep Freeze. If this target is suffering a condition at the start of this attack, it removes a component is destroyed as a result of the attack, you gain 1 additional glory point. Again, that will give me the ability to shuffle 1 more card from my discard into my deck. Stamina. Again, just really a placeholder card. It allows me to draw a card if I want to use its interrupt ability. Since it's not specified when, I could do that at any point on my turn. Firebomb. So it would add a black die to an attack with the Shadow Sling. Again, note the symbol there, matches the symbol there. And again, this was a card I got for a metal shard in the visit to the level 2 merchant. If I roll a critical hit, I inflict fire. So again, that would be one way to get the big giant bird on the table to stop being airborne, bring it down to the ground, so then I could attack it with a melee attack. Remember, you can do every action you have access to, you can do it once a turn. However, you can do a range attack and a melee attack on the same turn, except you can generally, unless you have an ability that says otherwise, you can generally not do 2 melee attacks or 2 range attacks. So this is, again, ammo that I would use to do the Shadow Sling. You do need to discard an ammo card to do a range attack, not so much with the melee attack. And even with the melee attack, you can actually move 1 space to go into a space where the opponent is, and then do the attack. And unfortunately, that does not seem like it wants to stay, so we're just going to take that off the table. Drawing 2 more cards, we have the Anatomical Precision. After this hunter makes an attack, they may reduce the damage inflicted by 1 to draw 2 cards from the salvage deck, blah, blah. That's not ever going to be a thing. And then hit and run. After resolving an attack, this hunter may perform a free sprint action. I'm going to play the Stamina card. It just has an interrupt ability. And I will put this off down here so we can have, I'm going to need a discard pile for both these guys. So space is tight, especially when you have a big bird on the table. Maybe I'll just put these down here. But yeah, Bannock's hand. This should work. Karja's hand. Deck, discard, deck, discard. I like it. We'll see. See if this works. So I'm going to play that and lets me draw another card. It is the Blazing Strike. If this target is suffering a condition at the start of the attack, inflict an additional 2 damage, right? Which could be really strong. So they're already starting with suffering a condition. You know, I could use this ability, and then if I get a critical, if it's suffering fire already, especially, right, I can get a critical, and then I would basically do 2 damage plus 2 damage. A lot of damage would be super helpful. The thing I'm really trying to do first and foremost is to knock out this lightning gun. But the lightning gun is a terror value of 14. That means that I need to do damage of at least a 7 to damage A, and then the next I'm going to need to do damage of at least a 7 if I don't have it frozen, at least a 9 because the armor of 2 to fully damage the component. So again, I'll review that. Every component has a terror value. You need to do damage of at least half that terror value to damage the component, and then you need to do the terror value is basically halved for future attacks, and I need to effectively do damage of that half value now to fully destroy the component. When you destroy the component, again, you inflict any damage listed next to that component on the sheet. And if all of that component type is now destroyed, again, A only has one, so we'd only have to do this one time. Then we follow the rules. Again, A attacks would be disabled, and the Stormbird would also be shocked. It's the only time it will be shocked in this entire playthrough. I'm going to do for my first action a run, so I'm going to get over there with my friend. Again, these pieces, glad I spent all that time trying to get that to stick. Did not work. And now I could craft. No. Deep freeze. Yeah, I'll just craft to shuffle the stamina card back into my deck. And it will give me a little bit more flexibility next turn. In craft, you're taking the bottom 3 cards of your discard pile. The only action you can commit twice in the same turn is the craft action. So effectively, you can spend 2 actions to craft to get 6 cards from your discard pile back into your draw pile. All right, Stormbird's turn. He goes, "Roar!" Again, he sounds sicker and sicker, but it's just the thing. It's what they sound like. It's like T-Rexes. They're supposedly sound like ducks, and not what we would have assumed they sound like. True story. Look it up. All right, I'm going to discard 3 cards at the beginning of my turn. I'm drawing 3 cards back. We get Stamina, we get Hunter Arrow, and we get Hardpoint Arrow. That's nice to see. I'm going to play the Stamina card. That's not an action. It's just an interruptibility. I draw another card, Experience and Hardship. That's fine. And then I'm just going to craft twice and get all 4 of these cards back into my draw pile. So again, at the beginning of the hunt, we're trying to lay in wait. We see this exotic giant metal bird flying overhead, and we're trying to get the right course of action in place to go take it down and see what we can do. No comments. All right, let's move on. Oh, and we're chilling on some wreckage where we're safe. We're very safe. This will go up here. Stormbird's turn. It's going to keep following the track. Goes there. We're going... Yes, I will make that sound all day. Sorry, I guess. I don't know. It's a thing. I'm a weirdo if you haven't realized this by now. I like these cards. I'm not removing a component, though. I'm going to drop 1 card. I'm going to draw 1 card to replace it. We get a Freeze Bomb. A Firebomb would be great if I actually had a Blaze to discard. But, maybe I'll roll a critical hit with the black and 3 yellows. If I roll 1 critical hit, I can choose one of the 2 to apply, either the fire or 2 hits. If I roll 2, then I can apply both. If I roll 3, the third one is just unfortunately wasted. I think it's wasted. Where area of attack I don't think it's a thing with the Stormbird. If it is, we'll deal with it. Attacking an opponent, critical hits. Oh, no, I can't. So if I roll 3, I can actually apply the same effect multiple times, except remember, an enemy who is got a condition cannot get that addition applied again. Conditions are one-time things. All right, I'm going to... That's freeze. I do have a chill water, so I can definitely freeze it, and that actually would probably be a better combo anyway, but I will hold on to both of these, and then with my... I'm going to have 2 actions. I'm just going to craft, which is going to allow me to replenish my deck back to full. Stormbird's turn. Bam. It's going to move here. So still not exactly adjacent to me. But that's fine. That's fine. That's a thing. That is what it is. My turn with the Bannock. I'm gonna drop experienced in hardship and draw a card. It is driven. Nope, I'm not scrapping cards to get one action, and then I'll just craft this back in and chill. Stormbird is just going to stay on its patrol route, but that's about to change, people. I mean, in theory, I could do this forever, but I would never win. So, want to be much upside to that. That, I guess, is like pretty video gamey, right? So, I don't really have too much of a complaint about that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, I mean, you could easily say, look, after 3 turns for each player, the enemy becomes alert or something like that, just to kind of prevent this. But I think this is an important part of the game. Kind of this, again, the hunting, the laying in wait, biding your time. That part I actually kind of like. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is movement 5. Stormbird is there. Dude, it's so big. It's absurd. And I kind of love it. All right. Let's make this happen. Now, notice I do have 2 things there because I just ran out of these square. That is only 1 wreckage thing. So I will ignore 1 attack, and then I'm going to remove both of those tiles, those tokens. I just wanted to make it obvious that it's supposed to be a wreckage ship there. I think it's time. So, Karja Warrior is going to wake this puppy up. It is time to hopefully... Oh, I can do the freeze bomb. That's even better. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack. I have range 2. I only need range 1. Sucker is definitely within range 1 of where I am. I clearly have line of sight. I will pretty much always have line of sight. There are only times you don't have line of sight in this game, from what I can tell, is say there was like another tile and you were trying to fire across, you don't have line of sight there. But as long as, like, nothing blocks line of sight that I've seen or that I've read. So pretty clearly have line of sight, clearly within range. I'm going to apply I'm going to spend the ammo of the freeze bomb, and I think the only thing that makes sense is that you basically play things to your discard pile. But again, rulebook's kind of silent on that. Kind of wish it wasn't, because it could make a difference. So I'm going to just assume that I can, and we're going to do that. So I'm going to do an attack. I'm rolling 3 yellow dice. And that's because what my weapon does, and I'm going to roll a black die because that's what the ammo adds. All right, so I'm rolling 4 dice. I am attacking component A. Now, one of the things I had to look up is, even though I'm attacking component, I would still freeze the enemy. So conditions still apply even if you're attacking a component. The rulebook probably should have spelled it out a little bit more. I really need a 7. The nice thing is the sucker's not alert. It will be alert after this attack, no way. Like, doesn't matter what happens. But if I could get a 7 out of this, which I have not the greatest odds, if I can get a 7 out of this, then we can damage the thing. And I do think it's unclear if you actually have to do damage to apply the what the heck is that symbol? 400 moves 1 square. It's unclear if you have to actually do damage to apply the freeze. I don't think you do with an enemy. Conditions don't get applied to hunters unless damage is done. So we'll see how this all comes together. Man, I feel not great about my odds right now. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I mean, 1/3, 1/3, 1. I have no. Do I wait? Do I wait? Just do this with Karja, with the Frostwalker. That might be smarter. Maybe. I don't know. I'm so insecure. I mean, I'm also tempted to maybe I do this attack first. Dude's not on fire. Oh, I could inflict fire with any critical hit. Oh, that's pretty sick. So then I would, oh yeah, so any critical hits, I can just use it as a 2. And I inflict fire with the Shadow Sling. That's crazy. All right, just be a good roll. Oh, that's trash. Oh man, I really don't remember if the fire gets inflicted if I didn't do damage. That's bad. Oh wait, because it's critical, right? Because the timing is different. Player is critical. You can choose a critical hit. You apply them, whatever. If it was something that was depending on damage, then I would actually need to do damage. Attack has additional effects. Apply those at the same time as damage. But critical hit stuff I can apply even though I missed. So I effectively missed, which is super annoying. I can... Right. So this part, the fire, would only actually work if I did damage, and I would only do damage if I assume with the component if I actually reduced the tear value and I damaged it. But I didn't damage it. I didn't roll a 7. I got a total of 3, which is not enough to get to the tear value. But because I used the freeze bomb, I can use this critical hit to inflict ice. Since I inflict ice on this dude, he's no longer airborne. He is now grounded because I did inflict a condition on him. I'm going to do a follow-up to this where I'm going to go in, and now I am attacking with my Lightbringer, and if I exceed the armor value, I do an additional 2 damage, and because I inflicted the ice, I can ignore armor value for this attack. I'm still trying to get to a 7. If I roll, the problem is there's no way I'm getting a critical hit. The blue dice don't have critical hits, so that's a thing. I could do this and hopefully I get lucky. So I'm going to play Blazing Strike. If the target is suffering addition at the start of this attack, inflict 2 additional damage. And again, I'm trying to get up to 7. I would need to get a little bit lucky here. So there's 2 2s and a 3. I would need 1 3 and a 2, and that 2. Oh, that seems unlikely. This is bad. 7 is so ridiculous. Oh, and if I exceed the target value, that's another 2. All right, so I'm going in. So I'm starting with a 4. So my chance to get through 7 are a lot better. I forgot to put that coil on there. All right, we have a chance. So again, I'm doing a melee attack. I could move 1 space. I'm attacking with 2 blue dice. I rolled a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 because I exceeded the armor value, even though I was ignoring the armor value. That's fine. That is enough to damage A. So now all I need to do is 7 damage in the future. We're good. Ice is a one-time thing, so now the next attack will not have the benefit of ice. So we're gonna have to figure out another way to do what we want here. And now I can play. I don't necessarily want to get punched in the face by this clown. I can play Hit and Run. As an interrupt ability, after resolving an attack, this hunter may perform a free sprint action. I will move back here for that, and let's see what happens. Now, both of the hunters are equal distance from the Stormbird. The Stormbird will prioritize the hunter who's the closest hunter, but then after that, we'll prioritize the hunter whose turn most recently happened. All right, so we're now going to go to the hunter's activation. The hunter is landed. Again, it was landed because it had a condition inflicted on it. So we're going to reveal this and see what the instructions are. Is there a hunter within 1 square? Yes. So the Stormbird is going to attack. It is a melee, and I guess I'm just going to shuffle and take the top card. It is what it is. There's only 4 landed cards. So it's going to attack. It's going to do a melee attack. It's still got a range of 1, but it's still a melee attack. All right, so this -2 is still going to matter. However, we just ignore the first attack because we have pieces on there. We have a wreckage token on there, again, which I and proxying other pieces. This is the perfect card though. Move one toward the closest hunter, so the Stormbird is now going to come in here. Remember, when the enemy enters the same square as this hunter, the hunter may immediately inflict freeze on the enemy. So the Frostwalker is like, oh, you entered my space, you're frozen again, sucker. So that will be helpful to, again, not have to worry about armor next turn. But now the Stormbird is doing another attack of a melee attack of an 8. It's attacking, so I have to do an evade roll. My evade roll would be 2 yellow dice, but because of nimble, I roll a third yellow die, and I'm already reducing the attack from an 8 to a 2 because of that weave I added to my armor. So rolling that, we have 2 and a critical. The critical here is a 3, so I have blocked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I reduce from 8 to 6, so I take 1 damage. I'm going to discard this card. When you take damage, you discard cards from your hand or the top of your deck. Hold on 1 second. And we're back. And that was that. Now, after every time you're attacked, you have to do a dodge. I will dodge over here. Every time you do an evade roll, part of the attack is you do a dodge. You move to one adjacent square. It's a very ill-defined, random rule that I don't like. I don't know. I wish it was like optional, but it's not. Like it's a thing. I don't really understand the point of it, especially since I could just move back in and do an attack. I don't really know what's going on there. But I digress. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to put it at the bottom of the deck here. So that was the activation for the Stormbird. I'm still trying to take out this A component, and let's see if I can't do that with the Frostwalker. So I have that. I have the Hunter Bow. I have that. What's most likely to get to 7? I can roll 2 blues and a yellow, or I can roll 2 yellows and a blue. If I exceed, I'm pretty much, as long as I go above 2, I'm going to have 2 going in. So I just need 5 damage. I think the 2 blues and a yellow are probably better. A third of the blue die is a 1, maybe? No. Yeah, a third of the blue die is a 1. Half of it's a 2, and 1/6 of it's a 3. I like my chances. So we're going to, and I'll play intuition. Great. So I'm going to play hardpoint arrow, and I'm attacking with the Shadow Hunter bow. So range attacks can be made even when you're in the same space. It's fine. There's no penalty for that. And I'm going to play intuition as an interrupt card because I'm making an attack. So this is not an ability card. In theory, I could still play an ability card, but I'm going to just do the interrupt card. Scrap this card. That's not something I'm going to do. So we are going to attack with the yellow and a blue, and the hardpoint arrow adds another blue. So this card I can discard this card to re-roll any number of dice when performing an attack or making an evade roll. So I will have a re-roll ability locked and loaded. I don't know why. Part of me thinks that the example in the rulebook is wrong. Part of me thinks that intuition card could be played after a roll. I googled the heck out of it. I could not find it. So I think I have to play it before a roll. Who the heck knows? I have questions. So I'm rolling these 3 dice. I'm ignoring armor value because of the ice. Hopefully we can get rid of A once and for all. I rolled a 4. That's pretty trash. I need to get to a 5 because I exceed, I get a 2. Do I re-roll both the 1s? It's dangerous. I have a third of a chance to improve on this. I have a 2/3 of a chance to improve on that. Do I just re-roll all 3 of them? I think I just re-roll the blue and hope I don't get unlucky. Nice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I exceeded armor value. I get an additional 2 damage. That's 7 damage total. And that 7 damage with the tear value being halved is enough to destroy that. Remember, I can ignore armor because the sucker was frozen. And so we have destroyed the lightning gun. When we destroy the lightning gun, we take 10 damage off this thing. I also destroyed a component. So these 2 cards, I believe, get played to your discard pile. I don't think anything else makes sense. Because I got a glory point for destroying a component and a glory point for getting to one of the 10 health increments, I'm going to shuffle both of these back into my deck. And we're also inflicting shock on the Stormbird. Now, what shock does is basically the Stormbird is going to perform one ability on its next card, and then its turn is over, even if there are other abilities to choose from. So that can be pretty helpful. But again, other than that, Stormbird is immune to shock, so this is really our only chance to do that. I now think it might be good to get out of dodge a little bit, or do I want to go after one of those thrusters? The thrusters only have a tear value of 4, but I would, again, the armor now is going to apply, so I would need 6. That is there. I have no good way to freeze this dude. I could add a bunch of yellows. Getting rid of the D's does seem like a decently good idea. Alright, so I'm going to hope I don't get punched in the face too hard. I'm in a place to do a melee attack, so might as well take advantage of it. I'm going to play Sacrifice as my ability. I could discard 2 cards to roll 2 more yellows and hope I get up to a 6. I'm going to discard Driven, and I'm going to discard the hard point. I'll keep the Hunter Arrow, discard the hard point arrow. Again, so chasing some critical damage here. So I'm doing the Bannock Spear. I discarded 2 cards while I played Sacrifice. I'm rolling a blue and 2 yellows, and I'm hoping for a 6, which is doable. Also, and if I roll a critical, remember I also get to inflict freeze on it because that is the critical of the Bannock Spear. So I rolled garbage. I rolled a 3. Take the armor value into account, I rolled a 1, which means I didn't even do enough damage to hit the tear value, half the tear value of the D component, which means that I did absolutely nothing and just wasted some time. And that's unfortunate because I, committed some cards to that. Yikes. That was not the roll of dreams. So we are going to go to the Stormbird's turn. The Stormbird is going to take the second card off of its landed card. And it's going to say, was this enemy active, airborne, during its last activation? Nope, it was grounded. So all hunters within 2 squares suffer. I don't know what that is. I don't know what you are. Suffer what? I genuinely don't know what that is. All things within 2 suffer. Is that shock? No, it's not that. Nope. This is its first ability, and then it's gonna be done. But I literally have no clue what that symbol is. I did not see this card before. Stun. Some enemies stun the hunter with a burst of grit. When an enemy forms an attack with a stun, the hunter must discard a card from their hand before making the evade roll. And then it goes away? Okay. That. So that was from the FAQ. Here we go. And then I'm assuming the rest. I mean, that should be. It's great. That should be better to find, but I'm assuming along with everything else, like that as soon as you do that once, then the the you just throw the token away, but they did not give you any stun tokens. So I will use these to indicate stun. So you're stunned. You're stunned. That's not an attack, so I don't think that wreckage protects. That the wreckage will not be discarded, but that is the first ability. Remember, Stormbird was shocked. Um, Otherwise, it would have flipped back to airborne, and it would have moved 2 away from the closest hunter. So it wouldn't have been the worst card ever. But again, the shock is now taken care of. Done. Beginning of the Cardra Warrior's turn. Cardra's going to draw after a hand limit. She gets stamina, so she can draw 4 more. We have Silent Strike. She can lose. That is not Toll Grass. We have Silent Strike, and we have Stamina. Okay. I am going to... Man. I think I stay. I think I craft. Don't do the staminas. Might get attacked. Cardra Warrior, I'm worried, is just going to get walloped. They're both stunned. Great. I'm going to attack from where I am ranged with the Shadow Sling. Hopefully inflict some fire. Armor is going to matter. So if I just play the Firebomb, I think if I keep going after the thruster engines, reduce D attacks by 2, I think that could be decent. So Firebomb, I'm rolling 3 yellows and a black, and I'm going to go after the D component again. If I get to a 6, we destroy it, and I think that should be fairly doable. So I'm discarding that there. We're doing a ranged attack, so I'm not leaving from where I am. I rolled that. So, how is this going to work? Critical hit, critical hit. I can assign 2 damage, and on a critical hit, I assign fire as well because of that coil, and that's 6 damage. So it doesn't matter like what order. Ultimately, this thing's destroyed. So we've destroyed one of the 4 Ds. We've inflicted fire. Again, the back sides of all these tokens are just fire. I can actually flip these shock tokens over because, you know, that's a thing. And then, since I destroyed a component, we're going to take 3 damage, 3 health more off of the enemy. And that is a glory point. So I'm going to get this card back and shuffle it into my deck. And then my second action, I'm going to craft and get 3 cards back into my deck because I don't think there's any point for doing anything else. Bam. 3 cards back. Yeah, that's right. Shuffle the 1, and we add 3 cards back. For some reason, I feel like I might have done that already, but yeah, I did not. I did not. So, 2 of the 9 components are out. Again, we want to get this sucker nice and weak, and then kind of hopefully survive long enough to finish the job. The Stormbird is going to activate. Stormbird is still grounded, so we're taking the 3rd grounded card off. Is there a hunter within 1 square? Remember, this is still the priority because it's adjacent. So again, proximity is going to matter before. Enable the targets, equal distant. Yeah, so it's still going to go to the closest. Is there a hunter within 1 square? Yes. So that's good. So it's going to attack this. I think this is like the same card as the first card. Yeah, essentially the same card as the first card. The second option is a little bit different. So we're doing a melee attack against the Baddock Warrior. Now remember, because we're stunned, I'm just going to take that off and discard a card. So now I can do via evade roll. I don't understand how else that would work. That, again, should have been clarified a little bit more. But now I have no cards in my hand. My evade roll is 1 yellow and 1 black. I'm also immune to frost, but, who really cares? So it's attacking me with an attack of an 8. That's a bad roll. I took 6 damage. Good thing is now I can do my dodge move, and I'm going to go head over there with my friend, the Karja Warrior. And I have to discard 6 cards from the top of my deck. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those all go here. So obviously that's a little bit concerning. That puts 10 cards in my discard pile, which means I only have 12 cards left in my deck, and I'm drawing 6 at the beginning of my turn. So I need to be very careful, because if anyone's exhausted, game over, we lose. Now, Stormbird's going to move into here, because it moves 1 away. It attacks. Since it entered my spot, it gets frozen. And it's going to attack with another melee attack of an 8. Instead, we just discard this wreckage. There's only 3 more wreckages on the board to contend with. At the end of the turn, the fire token comes off, but the Stormbird suffers 1 more damage, so it is down to 6 health. Alright, the Bannock Warrior is going to draw 6 cards. Oh, this can go here. He's going to draw 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Ooh. That could be good. The experience and hardship. When this card has 6 hunter has 6 or less cards in their action deck, scrap this card when they are attacked to ignore all damage and the effects of that attack. I also have retaliatory strike, which I probably won't be using. Question is there something I can kill? Again, there is an ice, which is helpful. I don't want to be using the staminas. If I try to kill, that's 4 damage. Definitely want to get 3 of those back for sure. So, think I'll go after the thrusters. We only need to do 4. So I'll use the hard point. Oh, it's going to be like impossible to miss. I'll find a way though. Careful, Greg. And I also want to move. Yikes. Yeah, I want to attack, I want to move, and I want to craft. I can't do all 3, so that's a problem. The experience and hardship, though, is a good card to have. So I can, in theory, attack and move. And then I still have experience with hardship in case I somehow get attacked. That should work. So I'm going to use the Hunter Arrow. That's going to give a blue, yellow, yellow. I don't have to worry about armor value. And remember, if I exceed armor value, I do +2 damage when I'm doing a ranged attack. So I think I will go after a blaze canister. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't make any sense. I will go after... I'll go after D. Let me just knock all those suckers out. So I'm going after D. That is plenty of damage. We killed another one of those. I do 3 damage to it, so down to 3 health. And I get a card from my discard pile back into my deck. Sacrifice. I do want more than 6 cards in my discard pile because of experience and hardship. So I'm actually going to play a stamina. That's an interrupt ability. Lets me draw a card. It's a ready to strike. That's interesting. Search the action deck for any card. Add the card to your hand, then shuffle your action deck. Again, still 6 cards here. I'm going to move with my next action and head over here. Again, chilling in some ruins, which I think makes some sense. So I said I have 6 cards there. Just need to monitor that very carefully. We're going to go to the Stormboard's turn. Oh, this Frost comes off. We've killed 2 Ds. And there's 3 health left, right? So we can knock out the next D. That would get us down to 40 health left, which we could get 2 glory points for the Carger Warrior. Stormbird's last grounded card. Is there a hunter within 2 squares? There is. Yes, they're going to do a pulse attack. Oh, we're shocking us. What the heck happens with the shock? What happens when a warrior gets shocked? Things I should know. The first time, nope. I should go to page 15. The hunter with the shock token can't play interrupt cards at the end of activation, which began with the shock token. The hunter destroyed. I just can't play interrupt cards. Not a big deal for the Carger Warrior. So doing an attack of a my bad. It's an A attack. Remember, I've already disabled A attack, so that doesn't matter. Move 1 toward the closest hunter. The hunter's already there, so we're doing a melee attack of a 6. And I'm going to roll my 2 yellows. Because of Nimble, I can roll 3 yellows and ignore 1. Oh, did I do that wrong before? I think I forgot to ignore 1. Yeah, I should have discarded another card. I can't go back and redo it. I rolled 3 dice, and I'm pretty sure I just took the 1 hit. Yeah, I should have taken more. So I'll ignore 2 dice this time to just somehow make up for it. It obviously would have been different, but there would have been more cards in my discard pile. So I'll ignore 2 dice this time. So I'll ignore this one and this one. So 2, the 6 is over reduced to a 4 because of that. And I'm going to do, I blocked those 2. Oh, I was also stunned, so I had to discard a card. I was also, stunned. So I had to discard a card before. This now goes away. Then I make my evade roll, and I have to discard 2 more cards. I'll discard this and this, and I will move into... I need to be where tall grass is to make this make any sense. I'll move into here. All right, that was the Banuk's turn, right? Yes. So now we go to the Karja's turn. Karja's going to drop to her hand limit, which is 5. It's the Freeze Bomb, the Elusive, and the Anatomical Precision, and Blazing Strike. No conditions. Yeah, I think I just want to knock out all the Ds. Go for the low-hanging fruit. Get this down to 40. Make sure the D attacks are reduced by 2. When all D are destroyed, reduce D attack damage by 2. And just find a way to survive. Nope. Nope. Okay. So we're going to do Silent Strike. I can only play this when I start the attack in tall grass. I am clearly in tall grass. So I'm going to play that. Again, I would have been stunned had we not disabled A, but we already disabled A, so that's helpful. And since I play the Silent Strike, again, it's only useful in a melee attack, and it can only be used if the hunter is on a square containing tall grass at the start of the attack. So I was, and then I move in, and now I attack. So I'm doing a blue and 2 other blues, so 3 blues. I'm attacking the thruster engines. I need to do 6 damage total. I rolled 5. Remember, armor is not ignored, unfortunately. But I did exceed the armor value, so I inflict 2 additional damage. Those coils are huge, so I did do enough damage. So it was 5, 6, 7. Armor reduces it down to a 5, but again, the terror value is only 4, so that's enough to destroy that. So I destroy that component. It does 3 damage to the Stormbird. The Stormbird goes down to 40 damage total. Since it was reduced to 40 and I destroyed a component, that's enough. That's 2 glory. I can immediately turn the glory into 2 cards back into my deck. Yeah, I don't want to play Anatomical Precision. Instead, I'm wondering if I should attack with the Freeze Bomb. I do have the Chill Water, so I can actually get that armor down. But, I mean, even realistically, just killing the D's attacks now. I don't know if the Stormbird does any D attacks. It appears not to do any D attacks while grounded. So that's a thing. Remember, it would have gone airborne had it not been stunned before. It just did the first thing, which is to stun both of us, and then it goes away. And the abilities are funny. So like, if there's like all in blue, you just do the first one it can do. If you can't, and then once you do one, you don't do the second one. But there's only one of the grounded cards that matter. You also know there was an errata, that there was an ability on one of the cards that was just wiped out in an FAQ errata that was released later. I do think it makes some sense to knock out all the Ds while we're here and maybe even try to freeze it. So I feel decently good about my armor and where things are at with that. So my deck's pretty good. So I'm going to play the Freeze Bomb. I'm rolling 3 yellows and a black. I'm going to attack D. Just want to take it out once and for all. Rough. So I could freeze it, or I do 4 damage, becomes 2. It's not suffering fire. Critical hit would apply fire if I do damage. I would do damage in theory because I'm doing enough to do half the tear value. And I could discard this to inflict ice. Alright, what I'm going to do is, so 2, 3, 4 damage minus the armor value, so I do 2 damage. That's enough to injure the last D. When I injured the last D, since it was also a critical hit, since I did some damage, I also apply fire. And that, in addition to any other effects, and that's fine. So I did not wipe out the last D. I don't think it's worth freezing him as well. I should be able to knock that out with the Bannock, and then kind of be in a decent spot. So I'm going to put this there. It's now the Stormbird's turn. I need to reshuffle these. And we'll go there. So yeah, some of the rules when about attacking opponents and how some of these things work out really need to be better defined in like a player aid or something. There's a lot of things they do in this rule book that are just, it's all the information is there. I think it's organized. It's too long. This rulebook is like one of the few that I'm like, man, this could be 5 pages shorter, if not 10, if not 15. Like, it's just way too long for what it is. And then you have this quick reference, which is like missing key ideas. Like, it doesn't have a description of what craft is, right? Like, it doesn't have some of the stuff that you would just expect. But I mean, it has like the symbols and it tells you the pages, but like, why not just tell me the symbols and tell me what the heck they do, right? Like, it's a little bit tilting. There's also not like an appendix that I find kind of inexcusable in modern war games. Like, you give me a 50-page rule book and not an appendix. Like, I just don't understand why that is. All right. Was the enemy airborne the last activation? No. All enemies within 2 suffer a stun again. And then the sucker goes airborne. So it's going to flip this, and then it's going to move 2 away from the closest hunter. Obviously, that's me. It's going to go 1 and 2. And now we have an airborne thing at the end of its activation that suffers a damage because of the fire token. So we have to inflict another status on it to get it to come back to the ground. The Bannock's turn. Going to draw the card, Retaliatory Strike. I only have a range 2. I could, yeah, I'm not in a good place to attack it from anywhere. I think I just do a double craft and get some cards back in my deck. Yeah, I'm going to play the stamina. Oh, yeah, I can't play the interrupt. So my next evade roll, I just need to discard a card. I'm going to draw a card, melee attack stuff, and then I'm just going to double craft. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We'll shuffle this back into my deck. And we'll see how these airborne attacks are. I'm expecting it to be a little bit nasty. So that will be fun. Stormbird's turn. I'll put this underneath. Stormbird's turn. It is attacking. Probably. Is there a hunter within 2 squares? Yes, there is. It's going to move 1 away from closest hunter. It literally can't get any farther away from me. And then it's doing a, what the heck kind of attack is that? That is a ranged attack. Top number is range, bottom number is damage. It has the range, and then it has this area of effect crap, which is push target 1 square. This is enemy in the same square as target, as well as all enemies with effects in box. I don't know if the area effect is going to affect the Carja Warrior as well. I'm shaking my head, but you know. Area of effect. What do you do? Any other hunters in the same region square to the target suffer any damage or effects listed in the attack profile after the area effect symbol. Hunters can't make evade rolls to avoid suffering. Blah blah. Its attack has to prepare to be able to defend themselves. So this only affects other hunters. Does not affect my hunter. It doesn't affect the Carja Warrior. So it's attacking me with a 5. I do not have any. It's not a pulse attack. It's not a range attack. So I just have to do my evade roll because of this. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to discard Anatomical Precision, and now I can roll 3 yellow dice. Again, it's only an attack of a 5. I get rid of 1 of these as per the course. The description on Nimble. I take 3 damage. I'm going to discard 2 cards, discard a top card on my deck, and then I could do a dodge maneuver. So I'll go over there. And then the push effect applies to me, but push target 1 square. I don't think pushes ever. I mean, does it have to be further away? I'm guessing it does. I don't think pushes. Here we go. The hunter is moved 1 square away from the enemy making the attack, and the square chosen by the next player to activate that hunter. The enemy can't be pushed the hunter out of the playing area. Great. So this is 1 away would be any of those 3, and the Bannock Warrior is just pushed there. All right, airborne bird is different. That was the Bannock Warrior's turn. It is now the Carja Warrior's turn. She's going to draw up to 5 cards. We have a stamina card, a freeze bomb, a follow-up. Play after this hunter inflicts a condition with an attack to move it to the same square as the target, perform a free melee attack. This attack kills a target, gain additional glory, and if the target is suffering a condition at the start of its attack, inflict 2 additional damage, and then follow-up. So we have 2 follow-ups. We have a freeze bomb. I still have 2 chill waters. I do want to get this sucker grounded again because I don't know what it's capable of. So I'm going to. How are we doing here? Oof. All of a sudden I feel low. It's funny, like managing cards of stamina. Um, yeah, I think it makes sense again to kill D, bring the Stormbird back down to the ground. I do have a range of 2 on that attack, so that's fine. So I'm gonna move 1, get into the tall grass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Play the freeze bomb. Yeah, I wish I had a hit and run. That's a little unfortunate. So play the freeze bomb. I'm attacking with 3 yellows and a black. And again, I'm attacking opponent D. So that's 5. I did not roll any critical, but I did do enough to do damage to it because 5 minus 2 is 3. That's enough to destroy that. I can also discard the chill water and add freeze. We add freeze, we flip the storm, again, the airborne. The enemy cannot be attacked by melee attacks. The enemy suffers a condition. Flip this card. It suffered a condition, so we flip it back to the landed side. We killed D. Since I defeated a component, I'm going to get a glory point. We're also going to subtract 3 points of health, so it's now to 16 health. I'm going to shuffle this. Did I take this from the wrong deck? Yeah, I did. I'm taking it from this and shuffling it into this. Those were my 2 actions. Again, I moved. Now I could play a follow-up, get up in its face. I don't know how smart that is, to be honest with you, with it being grounded. I like the fact that I'm 2 away. Having seen the grounded cards, a lot of them can have an attack and then move and attack. I think 2 of them left, but then there's like, if we're not within 1, there's like the other side. So I think I'll just take my chances with how this is at this point. So we're gonna do the enemy activation. What are we gonna pull? I did lose this 3 health. Yeah, I remember D attacks are now reduced by 2. That wasn't a D attack. I don't. Have we seen a D attack? That's an A attack. Yeah, I don't even know if we've seen a D attack. So here we go. Is there an enemy with 100 within 1 square? No. It's gonna be. It's gonna go airborne again. Great. So it's a pulse attack. Now this is a pulse attack. I can reduce a pulse attack by 1. It's doing a pulse attack range 2. And it's doing an attack of a 6. Now remember, I reduced this down to 1. I already took care of my little shock thing. So we're going to roll 3 yellow dice. I can discard 1. Great, I'll discard this one. I block 6 because I got 2 criticals. I already just a 1, so I take no damage. Since I took no damage, I think I ignore additional effects. Is, I believe, how that works. The enemy's step, attack, resolving attacks. No damage for each hit rolled. I'm pretty sure none of these other things matter if I took a addition. Yeah, Hunter avoids all damage from enemy attack. Any additional effects from the attack are ignored. So I ignore damage. I don't get pushed. I still do the dodge. So I'll still head over here. Move 2 toward the closest hunter. 1, 2. And we flip to back to the airborne side, which I really find that a super engaging part of this puzzle. All right, so we go to the beginning of the Bannock Warrior's turn. The Bannock Warrior has 6 cards in her hand. None of them are super great. We do have a range 2 weapon, however, so I do like that. Have a hard point arrow And remember, there's still a frozen thing on there, which could be good. Now we need to inflict it with a new thing in order to get it to come back from being airborne, which, you know, is a thing that we might care about. If we destroy one of the components C or B, we will inflict it with some stuff. So if we destroy C, which is a blaze canister, we inflict it with fire. If we destroy B, we inflict it with ice. Again, ice, we get to ignore armor value for the next attack, and fire, it just takes 1 automatic damage after its next activation. I think going after the bees makes some sense. Again, we're just trying to whittle it down, make it weaker, and then we could just, hopefully rail on it for the rest of this scenario. But you can see, like, having to manage your cards the whole time is no joke. There's 6 cards in there. Like, scrapping stuff is wild. All right, well, I'm going to move 1. I'm going to play the hard point arrow. Again, I can only do melee, only do ranged attack. I have a range of 2 with the Shadow Hunter bow. I'm going to attack component D. They had the same terror value, so I need to get at least 5 damage to. Remember, we have ice too, so by 6 damage, I destroy it. So I'm going to roll 2 blues and a yellow. All right, if I exceed the armor value, I inflict 2 additional damage, so maybe I can take out one of the bees. Right. Oh, I can't inflict ice. Let me do C, because it already has ice. I don't know the rules on that. Can I use the ice, take it off, and then add new ice? I don't think I can. I know you don't get the benefit of an ice on the same attack, so I'm guessing that maybe you can, but just to be safe, I'll go after C first, get the fire on it, and then we'll get back to ice later. So I'm attacking C, need at least, X amount of damage, so that's 6. I ignore armor, that's enough to destroy that, and I'm going to make it suffer fire. We do this, 4 damage, it goes down to 12. So it's at 32 total. And since I just shorted the component, I do get to shuffle a card from my discard back into my deck. All right, next opponent we destroy, we'll get it down to 30 health, which again, we'll get another health back from there. We're going to go to the Stormbird's activation. It suffered another component, another condition, so now it is grounded once again. So we get the next card. Is there a hunter within 1? There is. It's doing a melee attack of a 1. A melee attack of an 8 within range 1. It's still a melee attack. It's just a ranged melee attack, if that makes sense. This is just going to go away. It's going to move 1 to the closest hunter. It's going to go there. It's doing another melee attack of an 8. I'm going to roll 3 yellow dice. Take my favorite one. Remember, the attack of an 8 becomes an attack of a 6. This is going to go away. I have blocked 3 of it. I take 3 more damage. I'm going to go back here with my dodge, and with the 3 damage, I'm going to discard this. This and this, and get rid of those 3. All right, because 8 came to 6, I blocked 3 more, so I had to discard 3 cards because of the damage I just took. End of the Stormbird's activation. It loses the health because of the fire token. Let me check the chat. Nothing new. Let's get on with it. So we're going to go to the Karja Warrior's turn. She keeps getting messed up on the Bannock Warrior's turns, but again, just the way the distance works out. So drawing 4 cards. We have Firebomb. We have Hit and Run. We have Deep Freeze. And we have the Freeze Bomb. Interesting. Yeah, I think we're almost done with the. I mean, at this point, there's an argument to say, forget all this crap. Let's just go after the bird itself. Um, I mean, the way the armor value works, there's something to be said about it. I mean, I do kind of like just knocking off all these components. I mean, you're getting the damage. If you only get half the terra value, that's when it kind of starts to become maybe this doesn't make the most sense. But I mean, if I can make this sucker, if I can freeze him and then attack him, I do not have the card I want. Ooh, defreeze could be helpful. Then I'd be only rolling two. Uh, yeah. Let me attack. I'm just going to attack the Stormbird. Get a condition on it. Then do a melee attack, I think, and then hit and run and get the heck out of dodge. I kind of like that combo, so I'm going to play Freeze Bomb. Ooh, where am I at on cards, dude? Oof, I only have 4 left in my deck. Man. That makes me a little bit less excited about this idea. I could do an attack, run, and craft. That might make more sense. That might make some more sense. So I'm going to do a freeze bomb attack. I will not attack the component. I will attack our friend. I'm rolling 3 yellows and a blue, and a black. And I'm attacking the enemy, not the component, with the Shadow Sling. Ooh, crappy roll. So this is where the armor value gets weird. So the critical hit, I can do 2 damage right away. But then everything else is blocked. So I don't think, because it doesn't get through, I'm not sure. Since everything else is blocked, I'm not sure I can actually apply the fire as a result. I don't know, man. It gets really. The timing points are just, they're unnecessarily confusing for these attacks, and like I've seen like clarifications, and like honestly, the more I've read the clarifications, the more confused I've gotten. Right? It's you attack as special rules. To play it, you can choose a critical hit from either, applying all damage. You know what I think? I think because on the critical hit, this inflicts. It should just be symbol critical hit. I think that would make this simpler. But a critical hit, I think I can inflict fire to it, which is fine. But I wouldn't, because I didn't do enough damage to get past the armor, past the critical hit. I don't think I can discard chill water to add the freeze. I think. So I'm going to do 2 damage to it. That gets it down to 9, which I went past and that 2 was because of that. I'm applying that critical hit. Again, critical hit ignores armor, and then I can apply the fire because of that coil. I'm going to get 1 card back from here into my pile because, again, I went past an increment of 10. I'm going to play hit and run. After resolving an attack, I make it perform a free sprint action. I'm going to sprint over here, and then I'm going to craft take 3 cards from my discard and shuffle them into my deck. Yeah, I mean, I have it down to 29 health, but not. I'm still a little worried about my deck sizes right now for sure. So we have our landed Stormbird. This should have gone away. Landed Stormbird. What's going on? Boom. Is there a hunter within 2 squares? Yes. A attacks are destroyed. So basically, it's going to move 1 toward the closest hunter. Their equal distance is going to go after the Kharja Warrior. It attacks the Kharja Warrior. We just discard. Oh, yeah, we discard this. We still have that thing over there. But we have only 1 more wreckage left on the board. Checking the chat. Nope, we're good to go. We do take another damage because of the fire. I'm glad I attacked the bird and not the component last time, considering how bad that roll was. And now we go to the Bannock Warrior's turn. This hand is garbage. I could discard some cards and then draw some more. I do have Ready to Strike though. Yeah, it could be good. Let me draw 1 card. Oh. Oh boy. This ability can only be used in target with melee attack. Cards on here. I'm going to play Ready to Strike to look through my deck for a card that I want. That I think I craft. What card do I want? Two additional damage. Yeah, I'll take a Hunter Arrow. At least lets me do an attack. I'm going to. Yeah, there was no dodge, remember, because I totally ignored the attack with the wreckage. Was kind of going through that with my head. So I'm going to do a Hunter Arrow attack. I'm doing 2 yellows and a blue. I'm just attacking the enemy, not a component. So that's 5 damage. I exceeded the armor value, so 2 more damage. So 7 damage. Armor value applies though, so it's back down to 5 damage. This goes from 20 to 20, 28 down to 23. And then we're going to craft, which is getting 3 cards out of here. Get a bunch of arrows back into my deck. I do have a retaliatory strike, which is interesting. Experience and hardship. I wasn't close to 6, so that wasn't going to work. But I think kind of in a good place. So the Stormbird is going to go. We're taking the last. Nope. Sorry. This should go here. Again, Stormbird grounded. So Stormbird landed. We've gone through all 4 of them. So we're going to shuffle these again. Again, it's been landed a lot. As soon as it takes airborne, though, we can start going after those components to bring it back down to Earth. What do we get? Was the enemy airborne during his last activation? No. Move 1 toward the closest hunter. They're both equally close. He's going after this guy, though, because he's the most recently activated. Since Frostwalker, since he entered that spot, though, now he has Frost. He does an A attack, except he doesn't. So because he can't do an A attack, he's just doing the second option there. So the difference between the A attack and the non-A attack is that you just get shocked, but just means you can't play interrupt cards. It's not that big of a difference. Whatever. But it's going to attack, and except it can't, we get rid of our last piece of wreckage. So all the wreckage is out. It doesn't go airborne. It's still landed. We're good to go. We're going to go to Karja's turn. Karja's drawing 2 cards. After resolving an evade, they perform a sprint action instead of dodging, and then a stamina card. Yikes. Alrighty then. Well, we don't have to worry about armor. So it might be... Ooh, one additional glory point. I like deep freeze. Blazing strike's also interesting. Okay, so deep freeze is a target suffering condition, which it is. If it removes a component, gain one additional glory point. Or I just guarantee myself 2 additional damage. If the target is suffering addition to the start of the attack, inflict 2 additional damage. One additional glory point would give me another card, another way to get more cards back into my thing. I think I go for it. I mean, I'm basically, if I roll that, I just need to get to a 6. The target's already suffering fire. It's not. It's suffering freeze. But 3 yellows and a black. Then I put it on fire again. I destroy a component. I get a card back that way. Now, let me not do too risky. I'm going to play Blazing Strike, so I get 2 additional damage going into this attack. I think that's smarter, because then I'll guarantee destroy the last C. I get to get 2 cards back, but 1 for destroying a component, 1 for going underneath 20 health left. And then I think I do a sprint and get myself some distance between me and this big giant friggin' bird. So I'm going to do a firebomb attack. I'm attacking the C components. I'm rolling 3 yellows and a black. All right. So ice negates all the armor, which is good. I got 5 damage. The black whiffed, so I got no critical hits, but because it was already suffering a condition at the start of the attack, 2 more damage. So I did 7 damage. 7 damage is enough to kill the C component, the second one, which is going to give it 4 more 4 more hit points are taken away, so we're down to 19. Since I destroyed a component, and I also make it suffer fire. Since I destroyed a component and I got it below another increment of 10, I get 2 cards back into my draw board, my deck. These go here. And that was a ranged attack, which is good. I mean, one argument is I could try to have killed that with my melee attack, and then the Shadow Sling could have been even stronger because it was already suffering fire, and I rolled a critical hit. It suffers 2 additional damage. That's written poorly. Is that 2 different on a critical hit? This attack inflicts fire in addition to any other damage or effects. Its target's already suffering fire, so I guess if it's suffering fire, it's 2 damage off the jump, even if I don't roll a critical hit. Or is it 2 damage if it's already on fire and I roll a critical hit, which would add fire to it? That should have been better explained. But what do I know? I'm just a dude. So this is here. That's done. I think I sprint. I'm more worried about Karja right now than I am about the Bannock, and the Bannock already has a larger deck to begin with and has half the cards in this deck, and it has sacrifice and experience and hardship. It has a bunch of things. So Bannock, the Karja we're gonna sprint as our second action and just get out the way. The Stormbird is landed, so we're gonna draw this. Bam. Is there a hunter within 2 squares? Yes. A attacks are disabled. Move 1 closest to the nearest hunter. It doesn't have to move. Since it doesn't actually enter the space, Frost doesn't apply. And now it's doing a melee attack of a 6. Because I still have this on me, I'm going to have to discard a card. I'll discard a Retaliatory Strike because I already have another one in my hand. It's attacking me with a 6. So I have to discard a card just to be able to do an evade roll. I'm rolling a yellow and a black. A critical would be super nice. Excellent. So I block 5 of the 6 damage. Retaliatory strike. I did not suffer any damage. If I actually suffered damage, if I suffered the 5, I could use retaliatory strike, scrap 3 cards, and do 5 damage back. That didn't work, so I'm just going to discard 1. I'll discard experience and hardship, and then I can do a dodge. I'll just go there. Fire token comes off, 1 more health goes away. Stormbird's down to 18. We're going to draw to my hand limit. I draw 3 cards beginning of my turn. It's a Hunter Arrow, and a Driven. Scrap 3 cards on the bottom of this Hunter's deck to take a free action after this one has been resolved. I mean, that's the kind of thing I can actually start to think about. Remember, if I kill the last 2 bees, I guess I'm down to 12. The most important reason to do that is that it just applies freeze. And if I apply freeze, then again, it takes care of the armor. Sacrifice is interesting. I mean, I would need an 8 just to knock out a component. Or so I just start piling on the actual enemy. And one of the rules I wouldn't mind is like, oh, if you're gonna beat this dude, you actually have to defeat all the components. It's like, why not? How many cards do I have in here? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm drawing 6, so I do have to be a little bit careful. About all of this. Again, disabling the A attacks has been pretty huge. I mean, we've missed that attack a bunch of times already. Man, I kind of want to knock out a component. That gives me the chance for freeze. Strike. It also just opens up a world of potential things to go very, very wrong. Alright, I will attack the freeze canister. And I'm going to attack with the Hunter Arrow. I'll go there. I'm rolling a yellow, and a blue. So I'm attacking component B. I need at least a 6. No. That's a mistake. I think I just attack once, attack him, and then stay where I am, and maybe he moves into my location, which would give him freeze again, which is pretty sick, although I think both those cards are done. But crafting makes some sense right now. I'm going to just attack him. I'm not attacking the freeze canister. 3 damage. Woof. Good decision. I did exceed the armor value though, so I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. Armor value brings it down to 3, so I did 3 damage to it. I would have been enough for the terror value of that. But here we go. 15 health. We'll go there. And then I'm going to craft and get 3 cards back into my deck. Come on, bird. What you got? What you got, bird? You got nothing. All right. Put that here. The Stormbird's attacking. Is there a hunter within 1 space? Yes. It's attacking with an 8. Roof. So it's attacking me twice. Okay. Well, we do have the sacrifice, but that would make me... Nope. We do have retaliatory strike. We'll see if I want to use that. So it's attacking me with an 8. I can do a dodge roll. I already took care of that token that was on me. I'm rolling a yellow and a black. That's a bad roll. So I take 7 damage. Woof. 6. The most I can lose is I have to have 6 cards left in my deck because I have to draw to my maximum hand size. That was a garbage draw. Wow, that was a bad roll. All right, so I'm discarding 4 from my hand, and then I take 3 more. I do not want to do sacrifice. Oh, wow. If I don't roll a critical hit, I'm going to die my next turn. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, critical, remember, it's 4 defense. He's going to move in. He gets frozen because he entered my spot. He's attacking me again. This is my evade roll. I'm going to lose because I can't roll. Did I even have a... Yeah, I didn't have intuition or anything. Well, I have some options here. So I'm suffering 7 damage. So what I could do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do 7 damage to it. Because I'm not... I don't know, am I dead if my pile is empty, or am I dead when I have to draw and I can't? Must suffer... Oh, wait. The first time it attacked me, I was here. I could have moved here. Then it would have just moved here. It didn't matter. I had to do a dodge. Solving attack actions. This is crazy. Interrupt, hunter, and suffering damage. If a player can't discard a number of cards equal to the number of damage, or the hunter deck action deck runs out and they can't draw any cards at the start of their turn. It appears that I'm good as long as I don't have to draw. As long as I have no cards there when I have to draw. Is what I'm reading. Cooperative mode. Alright. I think this is legit. So I'm going to lose 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 2 cards left here. After the hunter suffers damage from an enemy attack, I'm going to scrap this card and the 2 cards at the bottom of the hunter's deck, so they come out of the game to do inflict the same amount of damage to the enemy's hit points. Again, I think we can ignore armor, and this isn't an attack, so the freeze token doesn't go away. So that's 8 health left. And since we inflicted 1 more damage, I could basically take the bottom card of the deck and put that there because we got past the threshold. So we don't draw until the beginning of our turn. So I think as long as I can do 8 damage now with the Cardinal Warrior, that should be game over. So the cards are war, and then we do a dodge. We'll move over here. So it is a little awkward where it's like, oh, have I fainted? Have I not? It's like I'm kind of in this tweener state. So it kind of, in some ways, like almost like Gloomhaven, where you can like do like this crazy stuff, even though you're like you don't have a lot of cards. You're technically exhausted. This is bad. I don't have any ammo, so I'm gonna play a stamina card. Please give me ammo. That's awful. I don't have any ammo. I need to do 8 damage in 1 attack with a silent strike. I think I can do it. Alright. Well, here's my just my only shot to kill this thing. So I'm gonna do a sprint action to get there. And now I'm doing now I'm doing blade. I'm gonna do a silent strike, which I can do because I'm starting in tall grass. I'm rolling 3 blues. And if it exceeds your armor value, it's +2. Remember, armor is going to be ignored because there's a freeze token there. So essentially, I just need to do 6 damage, and then blazing strike at the target of suffering condition, which it is with the freeze. It's +2 damage. So I'm at a +4. So I just need a 4 with these blue dice because I have the +2 there and the +2 from blazing strike. Attacking the enemy. I rolled a 5, so that becomes a 7. That becomes 8, 9. That destroys the last 8 damage, and that will give me a card I can take on the bottom of this, shuffle it to my deck, and dude is super dead. I think. I don't know. I feel like the rules. I mean, it's almost like the rules are so not clear about attacking opponents that I just wonder. It's like it's such an underdeveloped part of the game, but it's so there, dude. Like it's so interesting. Um, but that was a taking 14 points of damage in 2 attacks. I mean, you can see how things can turn on you really badly. I mean, that armor is fine. I mean, I'm supposed to roll a critical hit once, right? I mean, I roll a critical hit 1 time. I prevent 4 more damage. Say I don't even scrap. Say I don't even scrap those 3 cards. So I keep the 2 cards there with the sacrifice, and then I have 4 cards left. Now I can draw up to a full hand. I keep the Carja Warrior there. This sucker attacks her. She's reducing attacks. Right, the melee attacks on her wouldn't have nearly been as bad. And then we kind of have a little bit more play. Although she only has 5 cards left in her deck after. Well, she has 3 cards in her hand too. So she's already reducing. She's rolling 3. She has chances of criticals, right? That would have been 2 damage. Move 1 closer. That's 1 damage. That's no damage, actually. Nope, that's 1 damage. So that would have been fine for her. She totally survives that. Does a couple of dodge thing. Banuk, you can do a double craft action. So it's just really like woof, like 2 garbage rolls in a row where I just blocked 1. I didn't even roll a 2 or a 3 or a critical there. I mean, a critical there was like -4. So that's really where that kind of turned sideways. But it's a cool puzzle when you're like, all right, I'm actually trying to hunt this thing, man, and it just probably goes on a little bit too long for what it is. But I think if you're just playing this, like that's fine. Now you add 3 or 4 rounds of like not the greatest, not the most exciting level up system. Now, dude, you love this game and you love the Stormbird and you want to, if you're like a mini painter, like, I mean, Steamforged always brings it on some level with their minis, man. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever had on my board game table. I've had a lot of ridiculous things on my board game table. It's insane. I mean, if I didn't already spend like a month of my life painting Blood Rage back in the day, this might be the thing that would have gotten me into miniature painting. But Blood Rage was kind of a one and done for me. Like I loved the final product and it was fine. But yeah, dude, I don't think that's going to be a hobby I'm going to be dipping my toes back into anytime soon. But it is what it is. So yeah, technically we won on Karja's turn, and then the beginning of Bannock's turn, she would have fainted. As soon as she faints, we would have lost. But I would have had, again, because I would have fainted because I would have had no more cards. So it came down to like literally every last card mattering. Now, if someone tells me the rules say as soon as I was out of cards in my deck, I lost, then I lose, and now we're just kind of lost in this ambiguous step. But if I'm looking at these rules right, it's not clear. Again, this is like the kind of questions that rulebook writers need to like anticipate that a player of a game is going to have. It's like, all right, dude, like, am I fainting as soon as I'm out of cards, or do I faint when I need to draw a card and I can't? That is like should be an obvious thing, and I do think I do think the fact that this game was written more for the semi co-op, where like it's not as important, but feigning still matters in semi co-op. So like the fact that the mechanics and the timing of when you actually feign isn't more clearly defined, for a company that's made this many games, I do think it's a thing. And I think a lot of this stuff. If you just give a round of blind play testing and you give a game like this to some people that have no idea what they're doing going in, like it shouldn't be that hard to be like, oh, these are the questions that are coming up that haven't been effectively fully answered. So the Stormbird does have its two freeze canisters were not taken care of. It is interesting that it does seem, as long as you stay close to it, the bird doesn't take flight again, which is interesting. So I guess there is like a probably a built-in strategy where it's, hey, I need to recover some cards. Let me run to the other side of the board, and if you both give it distance, but then it's going to attack you with a range attack from far away, and it's flipping over and it's doing a bunch of, and then it's going into these attacks, which these attacks, oh yeah, the A attack is a 10, the D attack would have been an 8. These attack are pretty nasty. Lightning gun destroyed. Move two closer, flip, and then do a melee attack. There's some interesting mechanics here. I do find this a very interesting enemy. For sure, for sure, for sure. All right. What is going on? Sagitt. Well, at least we can say the mini does not obstruct view in this game. Yup. Fly, Eagles, fly. I know I joined late, but when you say you roll a yellow, you actually roll a red? What is going on? Red? Does that look red? It kind of looks red. I guess it's more orangey. Like, it looks more yellow on here. So, I probably should say orange. I don't know. It's not like a bright orange though. The camera's making it a little bit redder, although that color is actually pretty true if I'm looking at it. Um, after 2 years, I might have actually figured out some video stuff. But yeah, it's orange. Why not make the game harder for us? I mean, this is a well-spirited Maze Knight player would do. To finish your thought, instead of you saying it, Steamforged has made a lot of games that have the exact same kind of issues over and over. They do. I don't know. I like the dude. There is a great game here. I don't think they got there. And it's disappointing. I get my first introduction to Steamforged is Resident Evil, and I still really like that game. And this one was more of a miss, and it's frustrating. The potential, I still see the potential here, and I still, if you're the kind of person who doesn't mind house ruling your game, I think you could turn this into hours and hours and hours of enjoyment, just by taking out this dude. I mean, you could even, if you do like 5 simulations, right? If you're still like, I mean, I only did the approximation of like, again, 3 rounds. I mean, if you were just like, screw it, I'm gonna give this guy 20 salvage, this guy 20 salvage. We visit 3 merchants. We buy, one thing each from the first merchant, one thing each from the second merchant, and then whatever we can from the third merchant, and just go to battle. I mean, you could really simulate those rounds even quicker than I did, right? It wouldn't be that hard to do. But the fact that there's that need to simulate is rough, and it's a thing. It's disappointing for sure. Uh, Maybe this will work better multiplayer. Resident Evil for sure is like that. I find Resident Evil way better solo, actually. I just don't think there's enough happening multiplayer for everyone to really feel that invested or involved or like they have that much to do. Um, I think Resident Evil two-handed is and playing solo is great. This game I've played multiplayer, and I think the fact that it still hasn't, it's harder. Everything's just so hard to balance, right? Because like the one or two player boards are just too easy. So you're playing the three or four player boards, and then you're getting more salvage than you probably should. Like all of it needs to kind of be reworked for multiplayer, in my mind, and for solo. If you're gonna really make this a great game, right? If this game's ever gonna be up to its potential, you have to like rebalance everything, rework everything, redecide, make different decisions about what gets what, um, and probably update the map tiles and how many enemies spawn. I mean, if you want to give me a one or two player board, great. Make each board spawn more than one enemy because, dear God, like one enemy per board is so silly. Like these enemies they're just a joke. I mean, you can kill so many of them so easily right out the gate. Like it's really silly that you give me a one or two player board with one of the most insanely ridiculous to kill enemies I've ever seen in any game. Um, it's not scaled, and I don't know why that happens. I don't know how it happens. I don't know how it gets this far to the point that you are ready to invest the time and the energy to develop something like this, and you just haven't surrounded it with a game where it would shine the most. I just don't know how that happens for sure. For me, anyway, based on a single experience, mind you, it is Steamforged. They released everything there was to release already. Burnt bridges behind. I don't know, man. I feel like they're just getting started with I get Monster Hunter World's coming out next year. They saved Uthia, Rivet Wars. I think they bought in from another company. I mean, they're really like still a growing and serious player in the industry. And um, again, hopefully they've shown an interest at least in getting better and making changes and listening to community feedback. I mean, what they did with Dark Souls, I don't think a lot of companies would bother. Where they're like, hey, all right, we're going to make significant changes to these rules to adapt the rules from the community that are like, hey, this is the way to make this game better. Um, Unfortunately, after my first reading of the new rule book, I'm just like, I'm already questioning if they did enough. Like, why not just abandon the idea of having to replay encounters? If people are like, "Hey, I don't want this game to be 5 hours. I want it to be two," and you still gave them a game that probably is still going to be 5 hours, 4 hours, three and a half, whatever it is, like it's like, dude, just go the next step. Like, find a way to at least balance it. I mean, I like Awaken Realms has had to do a lot of this crap too, right? Awaken Realms has had to revisit Tainted Grail. It's had to revisit Ether Fields. It's had to be like, all right, we're gonna take all the grindiness out of this game because people have too many games that they don't want to spend this much time at ours. And I understand, like maybe after 2, 3, 4 years of development, like this is your baby and you're like convinced you're making the greatest thing in the history of gaming, but you're probably not, right? Like there's too many games out there today. um so what people want, what gamers want, is something that they enjoy, they can get on the table, they can play in an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then move on to the next thing and just tell everyone how great this game was. And that's going to be better for you, I think, long term than making some 5 hour epic experience that is just crazy grindy. Because I mean, the number one complaint you see about games, or one of the number ones, is it's too grindy. It's too grindy. I mean, you saw that about how many Awaken Realm games. You saw that about freaking Serious Pulp. Serious Pulp had to learn that lesson with Seventh Continent. Seventh Continent went from this grandiose experience, 35 hours in, you could die, you'd have to start over, to like, all right, we're going to make this into a chapter by chapter experience. You see the growth, the progression from a gaming community that was all about Gloomhaven and 100 something scenarios to like, all right, now we got 17 of these games that have 100 something scenarios and hundreds of hours of play. Why don't we get to Oathsworn, 50, 60 hours of play, 20 scenarios? mm, love it. You know, and Oathsworn is now what, 9.5 rating or something absurd. Um, it's crazy. Well, there is Elden Ring coming, so money. Yeah. Not my money. And I don't know if after this video, probably not my review copy either, but you know. I mean, I do really think this is where like this system and the level up and you know having to combat this enemy and carefully manage your cards. There is something really good there and engaging. um you know, it literally came down to every, it was like one bad roll, it came down to like every card in my deck mattering, and like every pip on that last roll, right? I rolled 3 blue dice, I needed at least 4 damage, and was fortunate enough to get 5, right? So um there is a way. I mean, I would have been very unlucky, but a third of these dice, if I had rolled that, I would have lost by 1 pip. Like that's cool, you know. it's, it's fun. It's a thing. Moving this thing around my table is crazy, and I mean, it has a permanent home at this point over there in my file cabinet. Unfortunately, I just don't know when it's gonna be back on my my table again. To be quite honest, I'll be honest. Seventh Continent, Tainted Grail, ISS, and Alpha are all in my top 15. What you call grinding those games was okay for us in all of them. Interesting. Cool. I Seventh Continent was a top 10 game for me for a while. I mean, it's fallen just because the replayability isn't there for me. Like I tried to play it combining curses, and I just found that I was completely unengaged. One of my favorite gaming experiences ever was Forbidden Sanctuary. I absolutely adored that curse, and I had a blast with that expansion. Um, Tainted Grail, I got Fall of Kings, Valley of King. The next one. I'm not Kings of Ruin. So I backed that. I'm excited about some of the changes it looks like they made. ISS, my friend just got, so we haven't played it yet. And Ether Fields, I traded as I traded I traded Return to Dark Tower away for a haul, dude. Like I got Ether Fields, some competitive games that I wanted to have for my friends, and some money. And like I think another, it was like crazy what I got back for Return to Dark Tower. So I am interested. I'm very interested by Etherfields, especially with the 2.0 rules for sure. I'll never forget our first time playing Seventh Continent. We went off just doing our thing, and it was incredible. Cool. Yeah, you know, I got eaten by a bear. If you guys know Zach, who comes into the chat once in a while and asks me where a bear is, he always asks me about the bear because a lot, but other games too, where I was eaten by bears, like Robinson Crusoe, but definitely because of Seventh Continent when I got eaten by a bear. But yeah, man, there's some crazy moments in Seventh Continent. I mean, the problem is that permadeath mechanic is nuts, and you know, I'm curious about Seventh Citadel. I think I had 5 friends back Seventh Citadel, and I did not. So I'm like, you know, and Seventh Citadel, like, I mean, what is that Kickstarter's got to be pushing 3 years at this point. It's freaking nuts, dude. That is the bear joke. Yup. Eaten by a bear. I tried to go fishing, and I did not catch any fish. I caught a bear. Oh man, good times. No, and look, that's great, right? I mean, that's again, it's a moment. Like Zach and I, we're gonna be in our 70s and 80s, and he's gonna be talking to me about getting eaten by a bear, right? I mean, that's why we do this stuff. But super fun, man. I'm Justin Lenhart, bro. I haven't even been watching my board game vids lately, but I'm happy to see you streaming. Cool, cool. Hey, I'm, you know, that's what I do. You know what's crazy? I actually started editing. I've been promising this for months. I finally started editing my Hadrian's Wall playthrough, which I filmed, oh my, months ago, and I'm like, wow, like here we are. This is what I used to do all the time. Yeah. So I'll try to get that playthrough out soon. I mean, you know, it's not that long, so hopefully I'll have to edit it within a couple of weeks and to get that published. They said even in the beginning it will take a while for Seven Citadels. I don't mind. Yeah, I see that. I mean, I looked into it, and then once I found out I had like 2 friends that were backing it, I was like, all right, I'm good. I'll just play their copy. Yeah, I think I gave away I think I gave away my seventh continent. I was like looking over there. Yeah, I gave it to a friend. So, um, you know, I was like, it just again once I lifted the curses, I was kind of done. And I think the crazy what I like about seventh continent that I thought I did very well is that after you get past the first curse, now the second curse is like way too grindy for me. I did not like it. I also didn't like the bloody hunt. I thought that one was like that's like a beat your own scorey kind of thing. Didn't love it. But by the time you get past the second curse where you're like, all right, I know the island. I love how I kind of simulated you're going back to a place that you've already been. Um and I just love like how it really aided the rhythm of the game from there on out. And like something like the Forbidden Sanctuary, I beat it my first try because I knew the island so well, but I barely beat it my first try. And I absolutely adored that playthrough. I thought the puzzles in the Forbidden Sanctuary were super cool, super interesting. Just thought there was a lot of really cool things they did in the Forbidden Sanctuary that just clicked for me. I never played the expansion "What Goes Up Must Come Down" or whatever what that stuff was. I was gonna buy it all. I was like ready to buy it all, and it wasn't available on Serious Pulp. And then by the time it became available again, I was like, well, I kind of moved on. But yeah, it was a very unique, very cool gaming experience that I don't regret, but it has made me more skeptical of like big sprawling. Like it did make me much more skeptical of Tainted Grail, for instance, which is why I never got the first version, and I'll be very happy to explore the second, for sure. Real life catches up, man, for sure. Bloody Hunt is a nice secondary curse to give you something to do while you dig around in your main. I could see that. The whole white box stuff is also excellent. Yeah, I mean it I looked into it enough. It seemed like it added some cool concepts and ideas. But again, like by the time I would have been able to get it, I would have had to like relearn the whole island again. And I was like, I just had moved on, for sure. But we'll see. I'll explore it all with Seven Citadels. I know I think my friend Zach still has because he bought his own Seventh Continent after we played it together, and I'm pretty sure he got all the the bells and whistles. So maybe I'll tell him to bring it over one Saturday when we have nothing else to do, and we'll play it for a few hours. I gotcha, I gotcha. I mean, by now the first Kickstarter was 5+ years ago. Yeah, I wasn't in. I dude when that first came out, like I wasn't on Kickstarter. I mean, my first Kickstarter might have been Return to Dark Tower. Like if I'm really thinking through it, um, which is crazy. It's crazy in hindsight, but yeah. I mean, it was. So I got the first retail box, and all the expansions I could get, which is like Forgotten Sanctuary, Icy Maze. I thought was very cool. Icy Maze was cool until it wasn't. Like there was a point in Icy Maze that I was like, all right, dude, I'm kind of over exploring this one. I think I know what I need to do now, and I like definitely Googled and made sure that I was correct, and then I definitely went and then I played it knowing that I had figured it out, but I wasn't prepared to like sink another 6 hours into it just to find out I was wrong again. But yeah, AC Maze had some fun twists for sure. But I still can't. It was what is it? Broken Meeple who had the criticism of Tainted of Seventh Continent, where it's like what do they call it? Rolodex the game, or filing cabinet the game, and I'm like, I could never get that out of my head after I heard him say that. But it was good, man. It's again, it was definitely a top gaming experiences that I don't. There are gaming experiences I regret, and there are games that I just kind of moved past. Like, um, I don't want to say outgrew or whatever. They're still quality games, but they had so much. They had depth at the time, and then I was just kind of just done with them. I got to a point where I was ready to move on. But in Seventh Continent is definitely one I was just ready to move on. My first Kickstarter was in the 2015, 2016 or so. Yeah, man. I'm pretty sure my first one was Return to Dark Tower, and then after that was probably the Hoplomachus Victorum stuff, which I'm still waiting on. No, no, my bad. After that was Cloudspire, Too Many Bones. Then it was I mean, I did a Dice Tower one year. I don't remember. Man, I'm bad. Primal for sure. Frosthaven, and probably Hoplomachus were my first five. So I think I got like 5 or 6 outstanding now. I think my my friend Brian, I think, has like 80 outstanding Kickstarters. It's insane, dude. Absolutely insane. For me, Legendary Aliens is a similar thing. We played it a bunch. I loved it, but we outplayed it, so I passed it along. It happens. Yeah, yeah, no doubt. No doubt. But this has been real. I am about to head over to a friend's house for dinner. I think I hear my wife trickling down the stairs, wondering if I'm almost done. So I should go take care of that. Thank you so much for joining me, Sajid. Always good to have you around. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Justin, you as well. Any questions, comments, epiphanies, counterpoints about this game? I'm curious to see all of it. Put it in the comment section below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I have 2 live streams planned for next week, one on Monday, one on Tuesday. I'll be doing a playthrough of Block by Block, which I'm super excited about, and I'll be doing a playthrough of the Great River scenario from Spirit Island. I'm not sure which I'm doing what day, so I don't know. Come be surprised. Shooting for 11 a.m. or noon both days because I have other things going on. Rest of the week I'm out. For you non-Americans, it is Thanksgiving week, which is just a big excuse to gorge yourself on lots of food. Then not even the turkey's not that good. The rest of it's excellent. So someone's like, turkey's not that good, sacrilege. So check it out. I'll have 2 live streams next week. We'll be back the week after that with 2 or 3 more. That is going to be PAX Unplugged week. So PAX Unplugged, again, huge board game convention in my hometown of Philadelphia. So I'm super excited about that. Actually, Rolling Solo is coming into town, so hanging out with him. Looking forward to that. I got a friend coming into town. So just tons of gaming that week. So I'm going to try to get 2. I'll try to get 3 live streams up that week. Might only be 2. It's also, well, my next week's my birthday week, so lots of craziness coming up the next 3 weeks. So I'll stream as much as I can. But if you want to see some titles that you could expect, go on my Patreon page. Link in the description below. There you will see a public post I put out at the beginning of every month that just kind of rolls off some titles that I have on my radar that I hope to have on the channel pretty soon. And whenever next time is, thank you for joining me. And until next time, happy gaming.
Solo.